Today we are going over the manhwa, I Became the Ugly Lady. If you like this, please subscribe, like, comment, and let us know. Alright, are you ready? Let's go. At only 22 years old, a girl is dying. She is sick with a mysterious disease, and it is eating away at her life. When she dies, she opens her eyes, finding herself in a strange bed. She holds her hand up, finding it cute and chubby, very different from her usual hand. A woman in a maid's outfit checks up on her, but the girl is confused. She doesn't know the maid. When the maid gives the girl water to drink, she looks down, startled at her reflection. The face staring back at her isn't hers. The girl is in the wrong body, and suddenly, memories from the owner start flowing back. The owner's name is Sylvia Atlante, the eldest daughter of a duchess and Duke Atlante. Sylvia is a bit of an outcast, as she has not been loved and cared for like her other siblings. She was seen as inferior to them, and she was even exiled by her own father. She chose to end her life, so it is such a surprise that now our protagonist is in her body. It is even stranger that our protagonist is in the year 392, as Sylvia drank poison to end her life in 397. This means that time has been reversed as well. Sylvia is summoned by her father, Duke Atlante. He is upset about yesterday's incident. The old Sylvia hurt her sister Ailen, as everyone was gathering around her instead of Sylvia, even though it was Sylvia's birthday. He tells her to stay in her room until Ailen's arm has fully recovered, not wanting her to tarnish the family name any longer. Sylvia points out that her father has never asked her motives before she leaves. She asks for clothes, pen, and paper to be brought to the quarters she will be staying in. But all of a sudden, Ailen appears, calling for her sister. She has just heard that Sylvia will be moved to the West Wing, which means that she is in big trouble with the Duke, as it is the farthest away from him and his family. Sylvia apologizes for hurting Ailen, as well as everything else she has done. Ailen is stunned, and not knowing what to do, she runs away. Sylvia's butler takes her to the West Wing. The West Wing is beautiful. Sylvia cannot believe that it is all for her, and a mirror catches her eye. She doesn't think that her new body looks bad at all, and she feels bad for the old Sylvia who couldn't see her own beauty. As she thinks, her brother Kendrick storms in, demanding to know what she has done to Ailen. Sylvia has no idea what he means, and he tells her that she has just come to him crying. When Sylvia explains that she had just a normal conversation with her sister, apologizing for what she has done, Kendrick cannot believe it. He expects her to get upset, but she stays composed, escorting him out of her chambers. Kendrick is confused with the change in Sylvia, and he thinks that perhaps he was mistaken. Meanwhile, Sylvia contemplates on how to survive her new life. She decides to live as she pleases, and she wants to avoid being sent off to exile by her father, like the previous Sylvia was. More memories flood Sylvia's mind, and she realizes that the world she lives in has a magic power flowing through it. Sylvia herself is an elementalist, and she was enrolled in an academy to help hone this power. She decides to use all her energy to become a high-ranking elementalist, and she gets to work quickly, awakening the magic in her body through meditation. However, something goes wrong. Sylvia's body is racked with pain, and while she takes a bath, her body seems to melt away. When it stops, Sylvia's frame is smaller. The magic has changed her. Belle, Sylvia's maid, is shocked to see the transformation. After a month, rumor of the change in Sylvia spread all through the castle. She is still hard at work, trying to still awaken her magic, and she has to practice for 10 months. In only 5 years, she'll be a mid-level elementalist, but still, she wants to grow faster. She suddenly remembers another fact about the future. In 4 years, an herb will be discovered that can speed up the time it takes to accumulate mana, or your magic. The herb, Sogramcho, is a common medicine, but burning it completely changes its effects. Sylvia decides to go to Portham Street to go shopping. Belle goes with her, worrying if someone might recognize her lady. Sylvia isn't too worried, and she goes to a dress shop, excited to get something that suits her style. She eventually gets the perfect clothes, and even gets Belle a new dress as well. She leaves a large tip for the worker, super nice by the way, and runs out of the shop. Sylvia decides to head to get something to eat when Ailen? Is that you? Sylvia made a point to shop in the middle-class district, so why is Ailen a noble here? It seems that she is shopping with a group of vessels for something for Sylvia. She is looking at a bright blue bow, and Sylvia wonders why Ailen is shopping for her. Sylvia watches as a girl insults her, but to her surprise, Ailen defends her. Sylvia wonders something. Her downfall was called by her poor relationship with her sister. If she fixes her relationship with Ailen, could she fix her fate? As the girl argues with her sister, Sylvia decides to use her magic to defend Ailen. She reintroduces herself to Ailen, who doesn't recognize her. Ailen can't believe her eyes, and she asks to give the bow to Sylvia. It looks beautiful on Sylvia, and Sylvia then turns attention to the girl who is insulting her, Lady Evadine. She forces her to apologize for insulting her and for making Ailen to become upset. Her apology attracts a crowd, who all watch the embarrassing display. After Lady Evadine apologizes, Sylvia buys Ailen a necklace before taking her leave. On her way back, Belle suggests that Sylvia get an escort knight to protect her from any threats. She decides to go for a mercenary knight called a vagabond, rather than a knight from the Atlante family, who could betray her for her father. She decides to ask the guild on information on a vagabond, but she is distracted by a fight. Someone is getting hurt. A boy is being beaten by a group called the Black Scorpions. Sylvia decides to use her mana to defend the young boy. She uses her mana to throw the leader to the ground, throwing money at the others to show how rich she is. She uses the threat of her guards to scare the men senseless, and they beg for her forgiveness. They also apologize to the boy, and Sylvia glares at them once again, scaring the group away. Sylvia checks on the boy, but he doesn't want her help. Something about the boy seems familiar, and Sylvia asks him if they have met before. He doesn't know what she's talking about, but soon, another memory comes to Sylvia. The boy's name is Thieve. Theve Hiddleton is known by Sylvia as the Crown Prince's escort and the youngest knight in the kingdom. That hasn't happened yet, though, but since she knows his potential, Sylvia decides to take him on, wanting to grow her own knight escort. She also notices that he seems like he hasn't been taken care of, and she then decides that she must also make sure that he receives the proper nutrients in order to reach his full potential. Sylvia decides to tell the boy that she is hiring him and introduces herself as Sylvia Atlante. Thieve cannot believe it, but he decides that working for a lady would be better than living and fighting on the street. For his first task, Thieve has to go with Sylvia to the herb store. He takes her through a shortcut, and soon they come to the store. The store owner is surprised to see the bruises and cuts on Thieve, and he is shocked to find out that the Black Scorpion gang is responsible. They are bad news, not even above pickpocketing from the poor and using orphan children to steal. The shopkeeper gives him free medicine, and Sylvia helps put the medicine on his wounds. Sylvia then directs her attention to the shopkeeper, and she buys all of his sealgram. She then borrows a carriage from the market, confusing Thieve as nobles have their own carriages. They ride back to the Atlante home, and Thieve is stunned by all the riches. His stomach growls, and Sylvia is off to get him some food, determined to see Thieve grow big and strong. Thieve cannot believe that he is in such a luxurious mansion. The past few years of his life have been difficult, with him often facing the harsh elements or extreme hunger alone. He reminisces on the time he met Ailen, calling her the saint that everyone says she is. Thieve cannot believe that Sylvia is being so nice, as even he has heard how mean people have said Sylvia was in the past. He has a little bit of a problem with the reason why Sylvia has taken him in. She says it's because he looks like a cat that she had. He hopes that doesn't mean that she will use him like a play toy, but even then, he is too thankful for her saving him that he doesn't mind as much as he probably should. He starts to cry, and he pledges his life to her. Sylvia feels like she has won the lottery, but her luck might be about to change. It looks like her father has found out about her shopping spree. The next day, Sylvia is full of energy. She decides to check on Thieve and then work on the herb. Belle comes in, telling her lady that Thieve is in her room acting strangely. He is waiting on her, and when Sylvia arrives back to her room, he asks her what type of work he will be doing. He still looks a bit messy, and Sylvia drags him back to his room to treat his wounds. As Sylvia treats him, Thieve cannot believe that he is living in reality. Everything seems like a dream to him, and he doesn't know what to think of his new life. Just as Thieve asks for breakfast, Sylvia's butler, Vente, comes in to greet the princess. He is surprised to see Thieve, but ultimately, Vente is here for a different matter. Duke Atlante wants to see Sylvia. Sylvia goes reluctantly, leaving Thieve alone in his room. Will he be able to adjust to such a new world? Duke Atlante is furious. He has heard that Sylvia has gone against his orders, and he is not happy that she was outside, shopping after being grounded to the West Wing. Sylvia says that she was in the right, as she was only supposed to stay grounded until Ailen's arm healed. She does have a point, but this is the wrong answer, because it makes Duke Atlante even more angry. He demands to know why she was on Portham Street. Sylvia is surprised that he knows about this, and she taunts him for finally paying attention to her. Duke Atlante then asks his daughter about the commoner boy that she has brought in, wanting to learn more information about Thieve. She recounts the story to Duke Atlante, saying how she saved him from a beating on the street. She then asks her father if her grounding is over, and while Duke Atlante does say yes, he threatens her against stirring up trouble anymore. Sylvia tells her father that she plans to be on her best behavior, but she has a request of her own. He cannot send any more spies to watch on her. With nothing else to say, Duke Atlante lets Sylvia leave. He is so confused with the changes in her appearance and temperament. He calls Vente, telling him to find out what happened to Sylvia in the last month and then report back. He also wants Sylvia moved back into the main house. Sylvia is mad about how her meeting with her father turned out, but she decides to calm down, knowing that she shouldn't stress out about things she cannot change. She sees Kendrick and Ailen out strolling in the garden, and Ailen invites Sylvia to join them. Sylvia is surprised, especially when Kendrick agrees, and soon, the three are walking down the pathway. While they walk, Sylvia comes across some butterflies with her siblings. Sylvia remembers that the butterflies are poisonous. They cause hives in anyone who touches their skin. She stops Kendrick from making the same mistake she did in the past, telling him that the bug is poisonous when he reaches out to get one for Ailen to look at. He is surprised that she warned him, but thanks her all the same, and Ailen comments on how lucky they were that Sylvia was with them. Eventually, Kendrick went to go off to do work, and Ailen left for a tea party, leaving Sylvia to go back to her room. She decides to prep all her Seogram, wanting to awaken her powers even faster. As she thinks about it, Belle bursts into the room with news. Vente has had all of Sylvia's things moved from the West Wing. She is about to move into the main part of the house, meaning her punishment is officially over. This doesn't really mean much to Sylvia. She's grown used to the West Wing in the past month, and she intends to stay there. She continues on her plans to ready the Seogram, telling her maid Belle how to do so as well. Sylvia tells Belle to be quiet about what they're making, as it has not been discovered yet. She even thinks about if she comes up with Seogram for Mana first. She could secure a monopoly on it. That way, she wouldn't have to worry about money when she moved from the estate. Eventually, Sylvia decides against it. She will make her own future for herself. It's been a week since Thieve has been at the Atlante household, and he looks loads better. He's starting to fatten up, and he even looks taller. She asks him if he wants to be her bodyguard, surprising him. She knows that one day he will be the best knight in the kingdom, but for now, she says that she sees much potential in him. Sylvia asks if Thieve likes swords, and she's in luck because he does. As soon as Thieve learns how to wield a sword, Sylvia says that he can be assigned to her as her bodyguard. In return for his service, she will give him a place to sleep, sword fighting lessons, and pay. Sounds like a great deal. Thieve promises to do his best, and the two are off, going to the training grounds of the Atlante's Knights. Sylvia finds Sir Joseph, one of the only people who was nice to her both in the past and the present. She asks the older man to train Thieve in sword fighting as a favor. She tells Sir Joseph that Thieve will be the best knight of his generation, making Thieve embarrassed. But it looks like they might have a problem. I don't think Sir Joseph is excited to teach Thieve, you guys. Sylvia knew that Sir Joseph would not be easy to persuade, and she listens intently as he lists reasons why he cannot teach Thieve. He is too busy working for the House Atlante to devote his time to a pupil. She explains that by teaching Thieve to use a sword, he is fulfilling his duty to Atlante, as eventually, she wants Thieve as a bodyguard. She sees his resolve start to crack, and Sylvia decides to push Sir Joseph even harder. When he protests by saying that Thieve is not sworn to House Atlante, Sylvia doesn't see it as a reason to turn Thieve away. She says that when he is her bodyguard, he will pledge his loyalty to her and subsequently the house. Sir Joseph still won't budge, and Sylvia is shocked. She begs him, telling Sir Joseph that her life is on the line. She knows that Thieve has too much potential to waste, and she needs him to be trained. Sir Joseph says he'll think about it, only after he takes an entrance test. Sylvia thanks Sir Joseph, remembering how loyal and kind he was to her in the past. Sir Joseph tosses a sword and scabbard to Thieve, letting him catch it. It seems that the entrance exam is happening now, and for the test, Sir Joseph wants Thieve to spar with him. If Thieve can defeat him, he will train the young boy to be a knight. Thieve is ready to meet his challenge, and he taunts the older man, scaring Sylvia quite a bit. He tells Sylvia to sit back, confident to defeat Joseph for her. Sir Joseph sets the rule for the match, saying that if Thieve can land one blow on his body, it will be his win. He taunts the young boy, saying that he must be too weak to properly wield his sword. Joseph's words get to Thieve, and he charges the older man without thinking. Thieve is beaten by Joseph, being hit over and over by the knight. Joseph berates Thieve, telling him that he is just a brat that cannot hope to protect anyone. Thieve is bloodied and bruised, but he stands to his feet, not wanting to throw away his opportunity. His determination stuns Sir Joseph, and he stands still, letting the young boy scratch his cheek. Thieve collapses to the ground, and Sylvia rushes to him, cradling him. She apologizes to him, worried that he still hasn't let go of his sword, even when he was knocked unconscious. Sylvia is upset at Sir Joseph for hurting the young boy, and Sir Joseph takes full responsibility, taking him to treat his wounds. In the end, Sylvia feels like she's done the right thing, knowing that Thieve is in the right hands. Things are going pretty smoothly for Sylvia, but the matter of her money and status are next for her to take care of. Technically, all of her money and assets are under House Atlante, so she can't claim it as her own. She can't even sell any of her dresses or jewels secretly. The butler takes inventory of all her items. Sylvia knows that in 4 years, Duke Atlante will take all of her assets as a punishment for her actions, and so she decides to accumulate her own wealth that the Duke cannot take away from her. Sylvia goes to the library in the main house, searching for a way to make more money. As she travels there, Sylvia is stopped by her butler, Vente, who praises her actions at Portham Street. She was able to incapacitate a mid-level member of the Black Scorpion gang, which caused the city police to be able to bust the rest of the group. Left with the good news, Sylvia goes to the library, finding a book about crafting magic stones. She decides to make crafted stones with her mana, which will give the stones magical properties to be used as tools or other items. Just as she turns back to go to her room, though, Sylvia comes face to face with Ailen. What is she doing here? Ailen cannot believe that Sylvia is in the library, and she drops her books at Sylvia's feet in shock. She has been studying the history of the Empire, as well as the origins of mana and advanced ancient language. Sylvia deduces that Ailen is studying for the Magic Academy's entrance exam. Sylvia leaves the library, thinking that if she puts her best foot forward, she too can enroll in the academy and do much better than she did in her previous life. Graduating from the academy would also help Sylvia's status, getting her a stable job and good money as well. Sylvia resolves to take the entrance exam as well, but she is stopped in her tracks by Thieve. He claims that he lost his fight with Sir Joseph, and he is extremely upset about letting Sylvia down. Thieve knows Sir Joseph was taking it easy on him, and he swears to become so strong that he never loses a fight again. Sylvia is glad that he is taking his job so seriously, but she is worried. Thieve's number of bruises are growing, and she is worried that the knights are bullying the young boy since Sylvia brought him in personally. The next day, her suspicions are realized. The knights swarm around Thieve. Sylvia thinks that the knights are about to harm Thieve, but she is surprised to find that they are really just begging the boy to show them a new move again. He wields his sword masterfully, and they are amazed at his skill. Seeing that there is nothing to worry about, Sylvia goes back to her room, set on making her magic stones. Soon, she has enough that she is satisfied with, and Sylvia goes out to the town, intent on selling the stones at a magic shop. In town, she is led by a small girl who is selling flowers to the magic shop. Sylvia doesn't recognize the shop's owner, and he doesn't believe that her stones are any good because she is dressed as a peasant to draw less attention to herself. As Sylvia leaves, she hears the store owner mutter to himself how he might hire someone to keep riffraff out of his shop. How rude! Sylvia turns around, demanding to hear what the owner said. She accuses him of selling his things at an unfair rate, especially used items. Sylvia uses her mana to reveal that the shop owner has been selling broken and used items, revealing the truth to all the other customers in the shop. Sylvia exits, leaving the man to his angry customers, and she is stopped outside by the young flower girl, who offers to lead her to a better shop. At the next shop, Sylvia is stunned to learn that the new shop owner classifies her magic stones as genuine, instead of crafted. He cannot believe the quality of the stones, and he would like to buy all of them. Sylvia happily agrees to sell him the stones for 12 gold each, and she signs a premium magic contract for the sale as well. When Sylvia returns, she has boxes from shopping as well as a gift for Belle, her maid. She pins a pretty green pin to Belle's hair, and she has also gotten Thieve a very strong healing ointment, as well as flowers to help him sleep. Everyone is pleased with Sylvia's nice behavior, and her sister Ailen asks Sylvia if she wants to go to a banquet that is being held in 2 days. It's a birthday party for the crown prince. Sylvia doesn't know if she should attend the birthday party or not. An uncomfortable dress and heavy accessories doesn't sound like a fun time to her, but Ailen has already confirmed that she will be attending with her sister, so Sylvia can't exactly not go. However, Sylvia cannot focus on all that now. The Central Academy, Lycion, is almost ready to administer its entrance exam. She fills out the entrance application and rests, surprised in the morning when she finds that she has awakened her mana. Since she is in need of information and she is able, Sylvia decides to use her mana to first summon a wind spirit. Wind spirits specialize in spying, and she decides to summon the low-level wind spirit, Sylph, that Sylvia summoned in the past. Sylvia goes through with the ritual, but something isn't right. Much more mana has left her system than needed, and the wrong spirit is in her room. Sylvia has summoned the Spirit King, Sylphide. Sylvia cannot believe that she has summoned the King of the Spirits in her room, and Sylphide cannot believe that a young girl had enough magical control to summon him. He is resigned to make a contract with her, as it is very uncomfortable for a spirit to be in the human world without a contractor. Sylvia is reluctant, knowing that hosting such a spirit would call a lot of attention to her. She and Sylphide argue back and forth until Belle comes to return Sylvia's dress. Sylvia begs the king to hide himself, but Sylphide thinks that Sylvia should brag from the top of the mountains that she was able to summon the Spirit King. Sylvia doesn't want Belle to know about her spirit, so she makes a contract with Sylphide just so he will have to do as she says. The contract is sealed, and Sylvia's first order is to send Sylphide back to the spirit world, just as Belle comes through the door. It's time to get Sylvia ready for the Crown Prince's birthday party, and Sylvia is dressed in a beautiful blue gown. She looks absolutely adorable, and she goes to meet her siblings Kendrick and Ailen so that they can all ride together to the banquet in a carriage. Everyone is stunned to see the change in Sylvia, and she is soon overwhelmed. Sylvia steps out to a balcony and she summons Sylphide. She has him use his power in order to hear what two nobles are saying about her. The main noble, Count Evita, was Sylvia's first love, and he is laughing about how easy it was to play with her feelings, even though he was 10 years older than her. Gross! Sylphide must think the same way, because he wants to tear Count Evita limb from limb. Sylphide knows that Count Evita is way out of line, and he wants to punish him for it. In fact, he wants to get Count Evita's friends for agreeing with the Count as well. Sylvia stops him, saying that she is used to the harsh treatment from others. Sylphide suggests at least knocking Count Evita over. Sylvia agrees, letting the spirit send a strong gust of wind over to the nobles as they continue to disparage her name. The wind is strong enough to strike Count Evita roughly. Not only does it knock him over, it breaks his legs as well. Sylvia isn't happy at all, but Sylphide is pleased that he got his way. He goes back to the spirit world for the time being, leaving Sylvia to go back inside. As she turns around, she spots a figure in a tree looking right at her. The mysterious person waves, and Sylvia runs back inside, wondering how much they have seen and what they know. Sylvia goes inside hiding, just in time to catch the prince, Kenneth Sarbas, making his grand entrance. Sylvia knows that she will be free to leave once he has his first dance, and she remembers from the past that Ailen was the one he chose to dance with. She laughs to herself, pleased to know the future yet again, but what she doesn't know is that she has caught the prince's eye. He approaches her, holding out his hand. The future has changed. Kenneth wants to dance with Sylvia. Sylvia is frozen. She knows that refusing the first dance of the coming-of-age ball of the prince will tank her standing in society for the rest of her life. But she doesn't know why the prince has chosen her. She decides that since her sister will be the one to marry the prince in the future, Sylvia doesn't want to do anything that will disrupt her sister's happiness. Sylvia's reputation is already at rock bottom, so she tells Kenneth that she cannot dance with him. She gives the excuse that she is sick, causing the crowd to grumble. However, Sylvia's refusal seemed to have piqued the prince's interest even more. He offers to take her home, saying she shouldn't stay if she's so ill. He whispers in her ear, telling her that she isn't good at acting, and she must improve if she is to hide such big secrets to himself. Sylvia's heart drops. Was the prince the mysterious figure in the tree? Sylvia and the prince take a carriage back to the Atlante home, and Kenneth asks to meet her again in a much more straightforward way. He also says that he wants to ask her something when they meet again, and Prince Kenneth wishes her a good night before he heads back to his party. Sylvia doesn't know that Thieve has been watching the entire interaction, and when Belle leads Sylvia up to her room to relax, Thieve follows behind quietly. He trails into Sylvia's room, and she's surprised to see him. Thieve is worried that Sylvia is actually sick, and he gets extremely close to her, measuring her temperature and calling her a liar. Thieve says that Sylvia feels warm, but I don't think it's from sickness. Thieve orders Sylvia to take medicine or see a doctor, and he also wants her to go to bed early in order to save her strength. He was even sweet enough to bring some of the special sleep flowers that Sylvia gifted him, wanting her to sleep well and rest. Sylvia is touched by his gesture, letting him nag and tuck her into bed. As she dozes off, Thieve mutters something. He thought she looked pretty in her dress. So cute. Ailen is in her flower garden, angrily tending to her flowers. After Sylvia's exit at the banquet, a rumor stirred around the party. Since the prince saw to it personally that Sylvia went back to her home, some nobles think that perhaps they're secret lovers. A flurry of letters has also arrived at the manor, written by nobles to Duke Atlante, wanting to know if the rumors are true. The Duke hates all the attention the rumor is giving Sylvia and his house, and he tells Avente to keep everything quiet and to deny all letters and invitations, since he does not want to get wrapped up in any more rumors. He knows that he is locked in a very sticky situation. Any wrong move could anger the prince as well, and it isn't good to upset royalty. Meanwhile, two women are having tea discussing the matter of Prince Kenneth and Sylvia Atlante. One woman wants to know if the rumors are true, and she intensely questions the other who sits across from her. The first woman, the Empress, saw the entire interaction between the young prince and Sylvia, and she wonders if Sylvia's previous appearance was just a disguise to keep their relationship a secret. The Empress feels that Sylvia has been a thorn in her side recently. Sylvia's actions at Porton Street have made her nephew resign from his position of security, and the Black Scorpion Gang has been said to have spread between the noble and royal family. This has given the prince's side ample room and reason to attack the nobility in defense of his crown. The Empress tells the second woman, Jen, to invite Sylvia over. She wants to know if she can manipulate Sylvia to do her bidding, or if she will have to get rid of the young Atlante girl. It seems that Sylphide is being more troublesome for Sylvia. As she gets ready for an outing, she berates him for being so flashy. She would rather live in peace with a low-level spirit, but instead, she is the king of spirits who craves for adventure and excitement, wars and monsters to vanquish. Unfortunately for him, There aren't any, and so he must be content with helping Sylvia straighten her hair for the time being. Sylvia and Sylphide finish up, and she goes to meet with Thieve. Today is the last day of the entrance exam for the academy, and she wants Thieve to take her. Sylphide tags along too, invisible to everyone but Sylvia, and he inspects Thieve thoroughly, much to her horror. She sends him to the spirit world again, and soon she is off to take her exam. She takes a special magical portal to arrive at the capital quickly, but she takes Belle with her, who doesn't do so well with the magical travel. Thieve swears to take care of Belle, leaving Sylvia to rush to the academy. She uses the prior Sylvia's memories to make it to the academy quickly, and she arrives just in the nick of time. The test time is the next day at 10 a.m. sharp, and as Sylvia stares at her test pass, a call of her name gets her attention. It's Evadine. Evadine is still her rude, cocky self. After her slip-up with Ailen, you guys should check out part 1. She has been hiding inside all this time, focusing on her studies. She is ready to take the exam, just like Sylvia is. Sylvia isn't too worried, even with Evadine taunting her, because according to the last Sylvia's memories, Evadine will fail the test spectacularly. Sylvia leaves, going back to check up on Belle. Thieve has given her medicine, and now Belle is resting, so Sylvia takes Thieve out to eat. While they eat at the previous Sylvia's favorite shop, the owner comments on how cute Sylvia and Thieve look together. Thieve denies it, even going so far to say that he is a lady, but the shop owner is a supportive ally who still thinks a lady couple is cute all the same. The next day, Sylphide wakes Sylvia up for her exam. Belle seems to be much better, and she's excited for her lady to take the exam and ace it. Sylvia goes to her exam, and she is shocked to spy a person in front of her with answers written on his hand. Before she can tell one of the examiners, though, one walks by, spotting him. The examiner tells the cheater to leave, as he cannot possibly hope to get into the academy if he's unwilling to learn the necessary facts for the entrance exam. The cheater rises up, in rage and about to strike out at the examiner, but Sylvia uses her magic to knock him down. The noise disrupts the headmaster of the school, who wants to know what all the fuss is about. He sees the answers written on the cheater's hand, and he orders him to be kicked out, never to return. The test then begins. It is 150 minutes long, and the test takers are free to leave whenever they finish. Sylvia is surprised to find that the test is extremely easy, taken straight from the book. She finishes it very early, leaving happily. As she leaves, the examiner from before comes outside, giving her the answer to one of the questions that Sylvia seemed to be stuck on. He is Baron Oswald's second son, Kian Oswald. Sylvia knows who he is in the future, a very successful genius wizard who was appointed as the future head of wizards. As they speak, the cheater comes out from behind a pillar, about to stab Kian for ruining his life. Thinking fast, Sylvia grabs Kian, using her mana to block the attack. Kian is stunned. He asks her to be his friend. The exam results are in, and Sylvia is at the top with the highest score. She has passed the first part of the exam and is on her way to the second part when she runs into a girl with red hair. She is looking for the sword exam, and she doesn't want to be late. Sylvia guides the girl to the sword department, and she swears to repay Sylvia the next time that she sees her. Sylvia then goes to her own exam, being told to sit anywhere by the wizard Saint. The next test is a test of mana levels. Saint shows the hopeful students an orb called a mana meter. The closer to the red the orb turns, the more powerful the magic user. Red has never happened, and it will only happen if the dragon arrives. But no one knows what Saint means by this. Sylvia goes forward, and wouldn't you know it, the orb cracks, turning a shade of blood red. Out of the orb, a red mist materializes, and it twists itself into a monstrous demonic figure, complete with horns and a sinewy, skinless body. Sylvia sees a multitude of hooded figures behind her as well, and she is roused back to reality by Saint. It seems to be just a vision for now, and Saint tries to question Sylvia about her identity. Sylvia can't answer, she doesn't feel too good, and the rest of the hopeful members are getting nervous. Another mana meter is brought out, and this time, Sylvia gets her mana trickle out carefully, turning it a golden color. The exam is over for now, and Sylvia is exhausted. She can't shake the terrifying images out of her head. She makes it back to Thieve and Belle just in time to collapse in Thieve's arms. He carries her and announces his rush back to the portal, and while she is unconscious, Sylvia thinks that she is dreaming. She is in a prison, and she comes face to face with her past self. Our current Sylvia is face to face with the previous one. She is imprisoned, and the current Sylvia thinks that this must be a memory of the night she was imprisoned due to hurting Ailen. A mysterious person approaches her with a small red vial, and Sylvia thinks that this must be the poison that ended her previous iteration's life. But that would mean that the timeline has changed again, because Sylvia isn't supposed to die during this memory. Present Sylvia tries to check the figure's face, but a giant, ragged claw drags her back. The figure laughs at her, telling Sylvia to enjoy her life and to pretend that she doesn't know anything until the time is right. But what could they mean? The figure continues to taunt Sylvia, showing her how lonely she really is in such a strange place and time. But our girl Sylvia pulls through. She remembers that people care about her, like Thieve, and they will stick with her through everything. Sylvia wakes up to Belle checking on her. She's safe, and she's home, and she doesn't remember a bit of the intense vision she had. Sylvia decides to rest, not knowing that Thieve wasn't a vision at all. He's been watching over her, making sure she's okay. Such a cutie. Sylvia is back to her hard work, despite everyone being worried about her. I guess old habits die hard. It's only been a few days since she last collapsed, but Sylvia is determined to study all that she can so that she will be prepared to go into the academy. Sylphide is worried too, in his own way, and he demands that Sylvia listen to him and finally take a break. With a snap of his fingers, he uses his powers as a wind spirit to take her flying through the air. As she flies, she spots a red forest. She remembers that in the past, when mana started to become widespread, that particular forest became known for its crimson color. She also sees a pack of orcs, and she warns Sylphide to pass quietly by them. However, Sylphide is Sylphide, and so he blasts one of the orcs for fun before taking Sylvia on a picnic, stating that he isn't scared to blow all the orcs away if they bother the two. Sylvia enjoys the food, and Sylphide looks like he wants a bite too, but how? He's a spirit, so he can't eat human food, right? Well, Sylphide has a solution. He can turn into a human, and he's pretty nice to look at as well, don't you think? This isn't the first time he's transformed. He actually loves the gourmet lifestyle, and Sylvia tells him that as long as he helps her out, he can eat as much gourmet food as he wants. As they talk, Sylphide notices more people in the forest. They're trying to find the source of some mana that they detected, and they stumble upon the dead orcs. They think that it is the work of Daniel Atlante. But wait, that's Sylvia's older brother. Daniel Atlante was never truly in the running for the succession of the Atlante name, so his role in the family was different from the rest of the Atlante children. He and Sylvia used to be close, but time and duty forced them apart. And by the time Daniel came back to his little sister, she was closed off and distant from his kindness. After he graduated, he left again, saying that he wanted to study ancient magic ruins from all around the world. If Daniel is away studying, then why do the men think that he is in the forest? Sylvia watches them as they search, and she is stunned when their leader says that he wants to kill Daniel. Sylphide sees the men as a threat to his summoner, and he does love a fight, and so he uses his powers to catch the men up in a powerful updraft of wind. The leader panics, and he opens a vial, drinking the contents. Pain racks the man's body, and he falls dead. His other cohorts do as well, and Sylphide says that they have all taken a poison, choosing to die rather than being caught. He shows Sylvia a pendant they were all wearing, and it looks like they were all part of a secret organization. Sylvia cracks open the pendant with her mana, revealing a map inside. It has the location of a secret lab, and Sylphide and Sylvia agree to go check it out. When they arrive, it looks like someone has beat them there. The building is on fire. Sylvia receives another vision, much to Sylphide's alarm. if she loses consciousness, he goes back to the spirit world. He tries to get her back home as quickly as possible, and Sylvia's vision overtakes her. A man with a pale face and dark hair has caught her in a cage. He asks her what she would do if she could go back in the past. He tells her not to forget her contract before he spots the present Sylvia, who has seen the whole thing. Sylvia suddenly wakes up on the floor of her home with the pendants in her hand. Sylphide got her back home before he vanished, and she summons him back to apologize. He embraces her, glad that she's fine. Sylvia is glad that Sylphide is with her because she's going to look into those pendants. Sylvia goes to an information guild in town that is disguised as a pub. She goes to see a dwarf with red hair who is up in the attic. The guild owner is stunned that she knows about this, as there really isn't a dwarf in the attic. It's really a password to request an audience with Ken, the leader of the information guild. Sylvia goes up to the attic to meet him, and I can understand why she's nervous. She gives him 2 requests. The first is to deliver a letter safely to Daniel Atlante and to find the place that the mysterious pendants came from. Ken gives Sylvia 2 beads, saying that when they turn red, her requests are done. When she exits the guild, Sylvia asks Sylphide if he can see the people who are trailing her. There are 3 people, he reports, from the guild, and Sylvia tells him that when she goes into an alley, he is to use his powers to lift her up in order to evade them. Sylvia breaks off into a run, and the men who are chasing her soon lose all traces of her. While in the air, Sylvia asks Sylphide if he finished his job. He did, and he enclosed how he got the pendant onto the desk of the guards. All of the pieces are falling into place for Sylvia. Sylphide has done well, and so he gets his reward. He and Sylvia go to a market, and he enjoys as many treats as he can stuff into his mouth. He spots a liquid, and Sylvia tells him that it is coffee. Before you know it, Sylphide has downed all of the coffee, and as luck would have it, his human form is still susceptible to human complaints. Sylphide is overloaded on caffeine, and he mistakes his racing heart and dizzy head as symptoms of love. He declares that his human body is in love with Sylvia, and he accepts her as a partner, much to Sylvia's confusion. He rambles on, saying that a former contractor told him to wait a week after confessing to a woman. And Sylvia is confused. Who contracted him before? Sylvia explains to Sylphide once more that he isn't in love with her. He's just experiencing caffeine overdose. Sylphide thinks this is too bad, since he wanted to fall in love at least once, as his last contractor told him all about it. I mean, if he's still looking, I could be of service. Anyway, that evening, back at Sylvia's home, she hides her beads from the Information Guild in her desk. But something is wrong. Someone has been through it. It is not the same as it was before. As she is wondering who has been looking through her things, Ailen walks through the door. Ailen has just heard of Sylvia's collapse, as she has been at the capital. She is checking in on Sylvia now, bringing her sister flowers and hoping that she's okay. Sylvia decides to tell Ailen about the entrance exam and how she has taken it as well, even though she was originally going to keep it a secret until she knew for sure that she passed. Ailen knows. She saw Sylvia at the presentation of the first exam's results. She explains that the flowers she's brought Sylvia are called Frisia flowers, and in flower language, it means Ailen has been supporting from the start. Sylvia wants to repay her for her kindness, but what should she get her? As she contemplates Ailen's present in the garden, she sneezes out loud. Her sneeze alarms Thieve, who rushes to her, checking to see if she's okay. She notices how neat he looks. His hair is wet, like he's just bathed, and he smells like fresh soap. Sylvia is flustered, and Thieve explains that he cannot concentrate on his training because he was too worried about her. Looks like Thieve cares about Sylvia a lot, Thieve has been running hundreds of laps around the training ground, and Sylvia is touched. She thinks that he may be more concerned about his job not existing if something happens to her, but I think we all know the truth. Thieve worries that he won't be able to be 100% professional around Sylvia when he becomes her escort. But Sylvia assures him that when it is just them together, there's no need for any formalities. Later, Sylvia is still waiting for information from the guild, and she decides to do some digging for herself. She looks for a book to see if there's a record of the pendant and its meaning. While she searches, Sylvia comes across Evadine and her group, gossiping about the Academy's entrance exam scores. One of the ladies step forward. It is Saint from the Academy. She congratulates Sylvia for getting into the Academy, and she gives Sylvia her own entrance letter, as well as Ailen's to deliver to her sister. She tells Sylvia that she knows something is different about her, and Sylvia is stunned. Saint has sensed Sylphide's energy. The last examination for entrance is in a few months, and Sylvia plans to be careful until then. Ailen meets with Sylvia in the library, having sent away the group of ladies quickly. Since their relationship has improved so much, Ailen wants to go to the upcoming festival with her sister. Sylvia agrees, and soon the two are off with Kendrick tailing behind them. Sylvia sees a vendor stall with many items, and she checks them, making sure Ailen isn't getting cheated. Ailen gets a bookmark, while Sylvia gets a sword that her intuition is calling out to. Soon the fireworks start, but Ailen has a question for her sister. She wants to know if it is really true that Sylvia and the prince are in a secret relationship. After all, he asked her for his first dance at his coming-of-age banquet. Sylvia assures her that the rumors are not true, and she has not even heard from the prince since the banquet. The fireworks start, and the two enjoy them for a while, until Sylvia looks up. Ailen is gone. Sylvia cannot find Ailen anywhere. She looks back and forth, and her escorts can't find her either. Some nights they are. Kendrick shows up, telling everyone to split up in order to search. Sylvia wants to search for Ailen too, but Kendrick tells her to stay behind. In her state, something could happen to her as well. As the group disperses, Sylvia calls up Sylphide and tells him to find her sister. He tracks her quickly, saying that Ailen is headed east. She is traveling too fast for a human girl, and there are several others around her, meaning that Ailen has been kidnapped. Sylvia tells Sylphide to take her to where her sister is, and she sends a note with her location with him to Duke Atlante. Sylphide has enchanted Sylvia to be invisible, so no one will see her. Inside, a slave auction is taking place. Ailen is about to be sold on the black market, but Sylvia won't let that happen to her little sister. She tells Sylphide to help her find her sister, and after that, Sylphide will run wild, tearing everyone else apart. Sylvia goes through the underground market, searching for Ailen, and finally, she finds her in a cage. She breaks it open with her mana, holding her sister close. Ailen has been sedated, but other than that, she's fine. Sylvia has Sylphide help her protect everyone else in the other cages, getting them out safely. She also orders Sylphide to not let anyone participating in the auction to leave. Outside, Kendrick and the others from the Atlante home still cannot find the two sisters. The only clue that they have is the note that Sylphide delivered from Sylvia. When they approach the building, they find that a magical barrier is preventing them from entering. Thieve tries to enter by attacking the barrier, but suddenly, Sylvia exits the building with Ailen in her arms. The other girls have been released, and the criminals have all been taken care of. Sylvia turns to Thieve, who is relieved to see her. His relief doesn't last long, though, because Sylvia collapses, all of her mana spent up. Duke Atlante orders his men to take his daughters back to the mansion and to call the doctor for them as well. It is soon found out that the owner of the building is a man called Baron Tabak, who became wealthy suddenly a few years ago. In reality, he has been running a human trafficking scheme for about a year, with auctions being held every month. Baron Tabak has been involved with the Black Scorpions as well, the gang that Sylvia disbanded not too long ago. Duke Atlante orders for the connections to be investigated, and he also wants to know if his daughters have woken up yet. Ailen has, but Sylvia is still unconscious for the time being. Meanwhile, the Empress is upset. The auction site has been found, and once again, Sylvia is to blame for her plans being ruined. Will she retaliate? A woman is blessing Sylvia. She calls Sylvia her precious daughter, hoping that she'll be blessed with happiness above all else. Suddenly, Sylvia wakes up. She's slept for 3 days, and her sister is glad that she's finally awake. However, there's a little bit of a problem. Sylvia is out of mana for the time being. She needs to figure out how to recover her mana speedily. It's especially a pain too. Sylvia's guards have increased because of the incident. The Emperor has ordered an immediate investigation into the incident, and the capital has been turned upside down because of the news. Those who were involved were stripped of titles and possessions, with some being put in jail and others being executed. This means that many families of the wealthy now have a grudge against both the Atlante family and Sylvia herself, as they know that she is responsible for finding the auction building. Sylvia has no real way to defend herself until her mana returns. As she decides what to do, a knock at the door takes her attention. Kendrick is returning her sword. Sylvia thanks her brother for returning her things, and she also has another favor to ask of him. She wants to sneak out. Kendrick agrees, and they both go to an orphanage. The orphanage owner makes a note of 5 new children, and Sylvia knows that these are the children that she rescued. Sylvia gives the owner a bag full of gold, hoping to take care of the new children and the pre-existing ones. When they leave, Kendrick asks Sylvia what the purpose of her visit was. Well, Sylvia, what was it? Sylvia wants to start her own charity fund. In particular, she wants to support underprivileged talents like Thieve, who would then go out to gain support for themselves and for her. She also wants to protect those who are not as talented, vowing that whoever is in need will get the talent they deserve. Vente gives her the documents she needs in order to start her fund, and it looks like she could even start tomorrow. However, she needs more funds. Her magic stones can only raise so much money. So what else can Sylvia do to earn money? Sylvia suddenly thinks of a businesswoman, Rasim, who runs a street food stall. She later became the founder of one of the largest businesses in the empire. Sylvia decides to go to the market to recruit Rasim, and to get the needed ingredients to restore her mana as well. Sylvia needs to buy fairy dust and chamomile leaf, consuming it with sorghum grass, but she is worried that the increased guards will notice her strange movements. She resolves to sneak out quickly, and she meets with the shop owner she sells her stones to, Mr. Fidel. He gossips while she is there, telling her that a new batch of people have gone missing. Mr. Fidel thinks that the Black Scorpions is behind the disappearances again. He also thinks that more guards are working with the gang, since none of them listen to the commoners who know the people who are going missing. He tells her all about the noble Lady Sylvia, who has done a lot to break up the gang activity, not knowing that he's talking to Sylvia herself. He sells her the sorghum grass, but is out of fairy dust and chamomile. Fidel sends Sylvia to a different address, and as she travels, she sees the cutest sight. A group of children are playing, with one dressed up as Sylvia and the other playing the role of Black Scorpion members. She stops and watches them, a little embarrassed, and a man comes up behind her, commenting on how people love heroes. He knows exactly who Sylvia is, and the mysterious person reveals himself to be the Prince, Kenneth. Kenneth is glad to see Sylvia, but Sylvia doesn't know why he is here in the marketplace. He has been sending her invitations, but she has burned them every time she has received one. Kenneth asks Sylvia what type of herb she needs. He heard that she was sick, so she must be looking for herbal medicine. However, since she is up and about, he also asks if her sickness was a lie and if she really was the one to shut down the human trafficking trade. As Kenneth speaks, Sylvia notices a mark on his neck. He brushes it aside, saying that there was a bug around him, but I don't think a mark from a bug would look like that. Sylvia doesn't look like she believes him much either, but he changes the subject, asking how it came to pass that she was powerful enough to summon a wind spirit. Sylvia is stunned. How did he know? But suddenly, the young girl that Sylvia watched play cries out in pain. She is clutching her chest, crying, and an aura around her lets Sylvia know that the young girl's mana is running out of her body at a rapid pace. If it continues, the girl will die. Sylvia uses some of her mana that she has accumulated while resting, and she tries to funnel the girl's back into her body. It works. Yay! The little girl is better, just in time for her father to gratefully thank Sylvia for saving the girl's life. He thanks her, wanting to repay Sylvia. He actually owns an herb store that Sylvia needs to go to, and so she follows him to the shop, leaving Kenneth behind. Kenneth watches her as she goes, impressed by Sylvia's mana usage. He knows that she has taken down the Black Scorpions, to which he is grateful. The takedown of the Black Scorpions means that the Empress's family will have more difficulty getting the crown. The Empress has tried to get Kenneth out of the way for the throne many times, using many different ploys, and now Sylvia's actions have leveled the playing field. However, Kenneth is being sent to the north by the Empress and the current Crown Prince, but Sylvia's presence gives him hope. Sylvia has everything she needs in order to make her potion, in order to build up her mana. It works quickly, but if she isn't careful, Sylvia could die. As she works hard to control her mana, Sylvia watches as Vente gives her another letter from the palace. It is an invitation to a hunting competition held in honor to wish victory for those who will be traveling to the north where monsters live. The invitation asks for Sylvia specifically, so that means she is going. During a hunt, weakened monsters are usually picked as prey. They are controlled and restricted, so they can't appear beyond the forest. However, as far as she recalls, the monsters are not restrained this time, and even though they are weakened, they can still attack the servants and others who are unarmed. According to the investigation, it looks like the second prince is behind it for political reasons. But why drag other people into their battle for the throne? Anyway, because Sylvia has been invited, she needs to be prepared, so she starts shopping for items. She buys a gem that is strong enough to protect her from weaker monsters, then looks for a bow as her weapon. She'll need a bow to use Sylphie's ability secretly. All she has to do is shoot an arrow while Sylphie leads it towards the monsters. The shop owner then tries to sell her the most expensive bow, which she thinks is fine until another girl advises her that it's not beginner-friendly and suggests a different one. The new girl seems friendly, and she even helps her find compatible protective gear. After their shopping, the girl introduces herself as Gabrielle Elderfer. But Gabrielle's attitude changes when Sylvia does the same. Sylvia then recalls her, the girl who had previously saved her from being bullied by the noble ladies. However, the original Sylvia belittles Gabrielle, rather than thanking her for her help. Now we know why she's fuming mad to see her again. Sylvia kneels down, apologizing and admitting her fault. Though it's not really her but the original Sylvia's, she still thinks she's responsible for it. Gabrielle is about to react, but she recalls how sad Sylvia looked when she said those awful things, so she lets it pass for now and leaves. Sylvia brings home a lot of sweets for Belle, which she is so thankful for, and some for Thieve. She then realizes that it's been so long since they last met, so she decides to give it to him personally. She's just in time when she arrives, as Sir Joseph and Thieve are having a practice break. She happily walks towards Thieve and is blessed enough to see him with his shirt up. She tries to retreat but stumbles. Lucky for her, a worried Thieve is right there to catch her. She is too shy to look Thieve in the eye as she hands him the snacks for the group, but he accepts them graciously and thanks her. His tone soon shifts, accusing her of abandoning him. He adds that he has been training hard for her, but it feels like he has been ignored. Sylvia calmly explains that a lot has happened, and she hasn't been able to visit as frequently as she would like. She reassures him that she will always be there for him and believes in him. They just both miss each other, really. Now back to her room, her body is now filled with mana, and she can now summon Sylphie. He appears to be looking all grumpy, which is so cute. He's actually upset about not being summoned for a long time, so she explains that her mana was depleted after they saved Ailen previously, since summoning him takes a lot of mana. She believes she is weak, which is why she cannot endure summoning him, but Sylphie interrupts her gloomy state and informs her that no one else can summon him. He then notes that she is powerful enough to summon him, and he thinks she will become even stronger. After their talk, she remembers she needs to practice something with him. They go to a forest and practice archery together. Sylvia instructs him to lead the arrow to the tree she marked when she releases the bowstring. Since we're talking about the Spirit King, this is nothing. Sylvia pulls the string and releases it while Sylphie adds power to the arrow. Well, too much power, destroying the tree completely. He looks so proud and laughs at how powerful he is, making Sylvia think he'll kill all the monsters at this point. After their practice, she then goes to learn how to ride a horse with Thieve. She had no idea Thieve would teach her himself, making her happy. Because the horse is so large, he starts their training by showing her how to ride it. Then she tries it, but to her surprise, Thieve goes with her to make sure nothing bad happens. It looks like she's having fun with the training, but all of a sudden, her hair comes loose, revealing her long, beautiful hair that smells like flowers. This makes Thieve feel shy and blush when suddenly, the horse goes crazy. Thieve instructs Sylvia to lean on him while he pulls the horse's lead rope to calm it down. Thieve successfully got the horse to calm down, but he forgot to notice that he's too close to Sylvia, causing her to feel embarrassed. After their training, things get so awkward that the two of them are too shy to talk to each other properly. Sir Joseph welcomes the two and asks if Thieve taught her well, to which Sylvia agrees and thanks him for sending Thieve. He then orders Thieve to go inside to rest, as he will continue to teach Sylvia horse riding tomorrow. Thieve beams a smile and happily follows the order. As the two are now alone, Sylvia actually knows Sir Joseph was following them during the training like a father following his daughter on a date. She encourages him not to worry because she's not a child anymore, making him realize that she's now a grown, elegant woman. He recalls how much of a crybaby she used to be, but now she no longer requires his protection because she can now stand on her own. The old man can actually smile. And so the hunting day has finally come that Sylvia has been preparing for. Ailen admires her sister's new style since her clothing makes her appear strong and confident. They are presently in the carriage together with her father and Cedric, on their way to the hunting grounds. Fortunately, Ailen is with them to brighten the mood, or else she'll feel like suffocating. Sylvia almost arrived late since the guards had to inspect her magical item to ensure it was not an offensive object. All eyes turn to Sylvia as she enters the tent, and the noble ladies start to whisper rumors about her relationship with the crown prince. While her sister Ailen, in an effort to cheer her up, asks her to a tea party with her. Sylvia appreciates the kind gesture. However, she needs to decline as she has to get ready before the hunt starts. She seeks a spot to place her magical object, knowing full well that the royal guards will misunderstand her if she tries to warn them in advance about the commotion the beast will produce. Therefore, she devised a plan to use her magical item, which can hopefully protect all the tents when it happens. Suddenly, Kenneth finds her and questions how suspicious she looks holding a magical object. She explains that it is a defensive item that can form into a protective shell when it feels dark magic. He somehow gets convinced and asks who's going to accompany her during the hunt. When he mentions her father and brother's name, she swiftly declines and tells him she'll go alone. He can't help but laugh seeing how she reacts, then invites her to join him, but again, our girl declines. Who needs men, really? A commotion is currently taking place back in the tents, just as she's preparing her magical items. It appears that Baron Chef was making sexually aggressive comments to Sylvia, which Cedric finds impossible to ignore. She tries to approach him, but Gabrielle warns her to stand back and tells her to watch, adding that Cedric has already challenged the Baron to a duel. She should just let Cedric handle it, but Sylvia can't do that because she knows it's her problem as well. Meanwhile, Baron can't believe Cedric is so defensive of his sister, especially considering the rumor suggests otherwise. Sylvia steps in and orders the Baron to repeat the insults he said, but he is unable to do so. She is furious at how pathetic he is talking behind her back, and now he's cowering. She gives him a chance to apologize, but he blows back by claiming that everything he said is true, infuriating both siblings. Sylvia throws her gloves at him as a sign that she wants to challenge him in a duel, which the Baron accepts. They agree to have a hunting competition, and whoever catches more prey wins. Cedric's anger stems from his concern for her, and Sylvia can't help but wonder why he's acting like a big brother when he's never been one before. He's at a loss for words, but he really wishes her to stop, since it's going to be dangerous. She asks him to observe and see what she can accomplish, and as she leaves, she thanks him for defending her. She then calls Sylphide, and both are now ready for the hunt. Sylphide and Sylvia have killed enough monsters to win the challenge and are now set to return, until Sylphide alerts her to the presence of monsters swarming to attack them. She can't let Sylphide subjugate the monsters all at once for fear of raising suspicions from the organizers, so she needs to kill them with her bow, but they're just too many for her. Fortunately, Kenneth arrives to assist Sylvia, and together they successfully finish all of them. She expresses her gratitude to the Crown Prince, while he wishes for a reward, which is to have her dance with him at the prom. She sweats all over, as she really doesn't want to be associated with any rumors. Before she can answer, Kenneth shows her the captive Baron. He discovers by chance that instead of hunting, the Baron sprayed something on the monsters, causing them to act controlled and move to where she is. He even tries to interrogate him, but is unable since he's under a secret prevention magic that hardens one's mouth. He then changes the subject and says that if it weren't for her brother, he wouldn't overlook the sexual comments she's received from the Baron as well. Sylvie is extremely protective of her and becomes enraged upon hearing it, which is noticed by the Crown Prince since it causes a sudden strong wind. Sylvie finally relents after Sylvia begs him to stop, and so the Crown Prince leaves with the Baron to interrogate him more. After he's gone, she hears her sister scream back in the barracks. A few moments before the screaming, the Duchess of Soph approaches Ailen and tries to tease her by bringing up the incident she was involved in. But Ailen does not get swayed by her taunting and tells her not to worry. The Duchess finds her clever and annoying, just like her older sister, Sylvia. The Empress has ordered her to find Sylvia's weakness, as she always rejects the Empress's invitations. She even had to pay a maid to dig up her belongings and find nothing, which enraged the Empress. She now intends to use Ailen to bring Sylvia in. She invites her to her tea party, and before Ailen can say no, she introduces her to everyone. She has no choice but to sit down when she overhears other ladies talking badly against her sister, knowing she's there. The nerve! Ailen defends her sister by pointing out that she's nothing like what they assume she is. The discussion ends when a strong-looking monster destroys their tent. People start running, but she falls down when a lady bumps into her. She tries to calm down by imagining how Sylvia would respond in her situation, so she shoots a fireball at the monster, but this only makes the beast angrier. Ailen gives up and thinks that if it had been her sister, things would have been different. She recalls how confident and free her sister is, so different from her. And suddenly, Sylvia appears. She uses Ailen's fireball to launch an arrow at the monster, forcing it to burn to death. She thanks Ailen and compliments her. Sylvia comforts her sister Ailen while thinking of her defensive magical weapon, which is only effective against weak monsters and is now getting breached by tougher monsters. When a young boy cries for help, she strikes the monster with her arrow just in time. She continues to fight with Sylphide, the Spirit King. After they have subdued the monsters, they are now inside the tent, while Ailen worries about Sylvia's injured finger and whines about the guards, who only arrive after the problem is resolved, leaving Sylvia to fight alone. While giving medication to her finger, Cedric warns her that she uses her bow forcefully, which makes her fingertips scrape. When their father enters the tent to check on them, Cedric tells him about Sylvia's injury from fighting the monsters alone, which makes him overreact, telling her to avoid danger. As everyone gathers, Lady Aldifer approaches her to thank her for saving her little brother, invites her for hunting, and offers friendship, asking her to call her by her name, Gabrielle, which she gladly accepts. When winners are being called one by one, she doesn't expect any more because she feels fulfilled knowing it will end with no major accidents. But she's surprised when her name is called as the winner because she saved so many people from danger. The Emperor personally crowns her as the winner. Even though Sylvia is exhausted and would rather go home than attend an after-party, she has no choice. Looking at the place, she's surprised at how the organizers make it as neat as before. Just then, Prince Kenneth approaches her again for a dance and reminds her that repeatedly rejecting a royalty for no reason is contempt for the imperial family. Just this time, she gave in to his demands. The prince excitedly holds her hand and they start dancing. She apologizes that she might hurt his feet because she's not good at dancing, but the prince smiles and tells her to be silent and follow his lead. They discuss the monster attack and possible manipulators while dancing, that they did not notice the first song ended quickly. The prince requests for more, but she declines. Sylvia's body hurts the next day from overexertion in her frantic hunting contest. Ailen brings her medicine from her brother, Cedric, which amuses her yet makes her grateful. Right then, her sister wants to tell her something. Ailen asks Sylvia whether she's free on Sunday morning and if she knows about the monthly Shine charity event. The event feeds the hungry and heals those in need with divine powers. Ailen has been going to the charity event for years and invites her clueless sister. She tries to persuade her that the event will be quick and easy. Other than that, she wants everyone to know that her sister is a wonderful person, despite the rumors. Sylvia doesn't really care about what other people think, but she agrees to come along because her sister insists. The next day, Sylvia receives her hunting contest winnings and is amazed at how the steward sorted them all in one day. She opens one jar of southern pickled sweet fruit and cheerfully gives it to Belle because she enjoys sweets. She then holds a plate gem, which is thought to enhance beauty, and decides to give it to her sister Ailen. In one of her prizes, she discovers a familiar magic sword that can only wield one magic. The black sword needs its pair to utilize its other magics, but it is known to be lost. While holding it, she remembers Thieve and decides to give it to him. She shows him the sword and tells him that mana can activate its wind magic. However, he cannot yet use mana, which is not a big deal because in order to become an official knight, one must know how to use mana, and she knows Sir Joseph will train him for that. And so, Thieve thanked her and happily accepted the gift. Sylvia returns to the same pub where she met Ken of the Information Guild, and because the beads he gave her have turned red, it means her requests have been fulfilled. As she walks into a room, Sylphide warns her of the assassins hiding everywhere. Ken shows her the documents she requested. However, rather than handing them over, he questions her relationship with the so-called fanatic group, something Sylvia knows nothing about. The sneaking thugs start to draw their swords, but get blown away by Sylvia's power. Serve them right. Sylvia really has no idea, and Ken seems to be convinced, telling her the fanatics kill innocent people to use them as a sacrifice to summon the devil. Their goal is to call on demons to bring back the Dark Ages. When Sylvia hears this, she starts having visions again. She sees people in masks talking about sacrificing the blood of an Atlante. Then she sees the pale man again, talking about how she goes back to the past because of him, and has a contract with him? She wakes up, still unsure whether it was a mere dream or a lost memory of the original Sylvia. Ken apologizes for their actions earlier. They are trying to be careful since the pendant she requested information from bears the mark of demon-worshipping fanatics. He gives her the documents with the pendant's information and a letter from her brother Daniel. He did receive her letter and plans to buy her a present. Okay, the brother is a cutie. When Sylvia returns home, she examines the document and discovers that fanatics who successfully sacrifice enough and summon a demon can borrow its abilities. And those who use magic by sacrificing blood are called black magicians. Sylvia is shocked by what she learns and decides to look into the link between the original Sylvia and the fanatics of the past. Before leaving the pub, she requests that Ken look for Colossus Lassim and the developer of the Sogram. They will be known in the future, so she needs to find them first and support them so their talents will bloom. Aside from the two persons, she requests to find the pair dagger of the wind sword she gave to Thieve. Belle enters the room, informing her that Ailen wants to eat with her as she is alone. She then realizes that even though the Atlantean family looks perfect on the outside, each of them lives in their own loneliness. So she wants to bridge the gap with her sister and dine with her. A maid suspiciously listens to them discussing their plan for the shrine charity event and immediately contacts Lady Soph to inform her of their plans, which the lady thinks useless. She scolds the maid and orders her to look for Sylvia's weakness instead. The not-so-sneaky spy complains loudly after the call ends and gets caught by Sir Vente. Sir Vente notifies Sylvia about the maid rat, but he can't figure out who's behind her because the maid didn't know either, as they only communicate through a tool. Sylvia has a brilliant idea to find out who's looking for information about her, and she orders the maid to give her master fake information about her. The maid does what she orders and thinks Sylvia is sweet and stupid, so she will surely forgive her. Well, too bad. Sylvia orders her imprisonment. The next day, Sir Joseph and Thieve are Sylvia and Ailen's escorts to the charity event. And while they are on the carriage, Sylvia asks her sister a favor. During the event, she wants to be next to the priest and help take care of the patients. Most volunteers don't want this position, as it can be really uncomfortable since most patients are deeply ill. However, this is part of Sylvia's plan to find the maid's master. The priests heal the patients using their divine power, and as she assists the priest, she plans to secretly use a magic tool to treat the patients, so people will start to call her a saint, which will undoubtedly spread and reach the master and most likely show themselves. Priest and Onel welcomed Sylvia and Ailen at the central shrine. Lady Soph greeted them, but seeing her made Ailen feel uneasy, which Sylvia noticed. Sylvia asks her sister about Lady Soft's stinginess and learns she's a rumor monger, which Ailen dislikes. They insisted on helping the priest, who treats patients despite being advised that first-timers may find it difficult. Sylvia sees Lady Soft's mischievous smile and thinks she is the perpetrator, but she's prepared, so bring it on, girl. Sylvia recommends the priest to use the magic tool to help treat the patients. He initially refuses it due to the negative effects, but after hearing that it can only store divine power and is not a healing spell, he eventually gives in and decides to try. The priest stores his divine powers in the tool and watches her heal a patient, and to his surprise, the patient feels relieved and thanks her for what she did. Soon, the rumors about her ability spread rapidly and eventually reaches Lady Soft, while having tea with Lady Dolce, who at the moment is having trouble breathing. She's using her like a lab rat as she wants to see Sylvia heal her. Meanwhile, the priest inquires about the magical tool and tries to convince her to work at the temple, having witnessed her compassion to all patients. But our girl politely declines the offer. At that moment, Lady Soft bursts in, pulling Lady Dolce. Lady Soft boasts that Sylvia can heal Lady Dolce with her divine healing powers. She dares Sylvia to do it, which she will, of course. Her magical tool treats Lady Dolce just like Lady Soft wants her to. Lady Soft takes Sylvia's hand and reveals that Sylvia is using magic tools that will worsen the condition of the patient, and accuses her of pretending to have the power of the gods. Well, lady, you're in Sylvia's trap without knowing it. Sylvia explains that it is indeed a tool, but uses no healing magic. It's a vessel that holds the power of the gods and the priest, who, to her dismay, confirms the tool's authenticity. Then, Sylvia suggests that they find the culprit who poisoned Lady Dolce, and so everyone should be interrogated, including Lady Soft. Lady Soft freaks out as her plan falls through, and she calls someone to make sure the poison bottle she used has been cut up and thrown away in the garbage, so there's no evidence that would lead the investigation to her. The caller warns her to be careful not to reveal that the Empress is behind the scenes. Thanks to Sylphide, Sylvia hears everything. Inside her room, Sylvia is connecting all the incidents that happened and thinking that they are all related to her, and she decides to find more evidence. She already asks Priest Idonel to retrieve the glass from the trash so they can investigate the poison. After the butler tells her that she must eat in the main house, she opens the door to be greeted by her brother Daniel with a forehead kiss. While eating, Daniel gives all of his siblings a magical tool that can detect magical weapons. It also can help detect traps and surprise attacks. He then asks his sisters whether they are ready for the academy, and with a smile, he offers to help them prepare because Cedric and himself are from the same academy. Cedric immediately confronts him, stating that after 3 years of silence, he's returned. He must have done something great and demands an explanation. Since Daniel remains silent, Cedric and their father leave the room. While pondering the incident, the magical tool flashes, indicating an enchanted weapon nearby and leading to the sword she bought at the festival. She resolves to fix it at the magical tool shop. Daniel visits her room to discuss the pendant she sent him. Sylvia tells him the story, and he feels furious, knowing how risky fighting those types of individuals is. She directly asks why they want to kill him. He can't respond, and tells her it's best she doesn't know and that she must avoid them. To prove she's strong, she summons Sylphide. However, Daniel warns her to stay away from these people and that he will do the dirty work and they just have to stay happy. He closes the door and remembers their sickly mother admiring him and promising to protect him and make him happy. Sylvia thinks about her brother's burden, suffering alone in danger by not telling them the truth, and decides to find out by herself. Her face brightens when Belle informs her that items from the temple have arrived. At the magical tool shop, the manager examines the sword and tells her it appears old and dirty, but functions well and will take 2 days to repair. He saw Sylvia's shattered spectacles and said a restore tool could fix them. She inquires about the poison at Fidel's shop, but he only knows therapeutic herbs, although he claims he knows a poison expert. Sylvia goes to the said expert and is surprised by a little girl named Anne, thanking Sylvia for saving her. Anne calls her brother, and as they talk, she shows him the vial of poison, wanting to know what kind of poison it contains. He declines monetary payment since saving his sister is worth a lifetime. He informs her that he studied at the academy, attempting to cure Anne, but found nothing. Due to poverty and no one looking for his sister, he did not graduate. Based on his story, she recalls that in the future, it will be him who develops the sorghum grass. She quickly hires him and promises to assist him and help his sister. Since he's grateful for her, he has accepted her proposal without hesitation, promising her he will do everything she asks. Sylvia asks Ken why fanatics want Daniel Atlante's life. Of course he knows, but in return, he wants information about Sylvia's life rather than money. Since she has changed so much, he wants to know what power she uses. Sylvia accepts, and the two of them make a deal. He starts explaining that after Daniel graduated from the academy, he right away joined the Archmage Alam, as there are speculations that the Archmage has issues with the fanatics as well. It is true that Daniel became Elam's disciple so he could explore the ancient ruins, but half of it was to haunt the fanatics, as they too roam around looking for relics of the Dark Ages. Her brother is known as a ruthless, slaughtering demon, which shocks Sylvia. Fanatics don't only make random sacrifices, they rate them as well. According to what Ken finds out, the Atlante family possesses the highest grade of blood, and the Duchess, Sylvia's mother, is ill because she is cursed by the fanatics. They once tried to kidnap the pregnant Duchess to sacrifice her babies, but were unsuccessful thanks to their father. Then one day, she suffers from pain, and the Duke finds out his wife is cursed. Fortunately, she's able to give birth to healthy babies, but she ends up being unconscious for the past 14 years. To conclude, Daniel has been hunting the fanatics for revenge and to find a cure for their mother. In exchange for this information, she reveals that she is a master of spirits and confirms the rumors about her being immature in the past, to which Ken questions her sudden change, something Sylvia doesn't have the answer. She thinks that if she keeps looking into the fanatics, she will be able to figure out why she is now in Sylvia's body. Later, Sylphide and Sylvia are taking a rest when they come across a casino and enter. Sylvia is upset that Sylphide knows the casino regulations and cheats. He even tells her that almost all people who enter the place are cheating, and the only winner is the best deceiver. Well, he's not wrong. He shows her many situations in which they cheat each other, and she gets intrigued when she hears the previous security chief is the Empress's nephew. Sylvia wins and draws attention, so employees worry and review their security to make sure she's not using magic. The casino staff tells her that their boss wants to see her, but she refuses, and they threaten to ban her from entering the building. As they enter the room, she is shocked to see her brother Daniel. He knocks the staff down with his magic, but is astonished that Sylvia has a shield. Her brother cannot recognize her because she uses the illusion magic tool to keep her identity. But when her brother is about to throw powerful magic at her, she reveals herself, which surprises him. Daniel and Sylvia are both confused by their unexpected encounter, but Daniel is having trouble finding something in the drawer, so Sylvia helps him and Daniel uses teleportation to depart safely. While sipping her hot cocoa, Daniel wonders if she's conducting her own research because he did not tell her anything last time. He warns her again about the risk if she gets involved with those crazy people because she's still young. She tells him otherwise and asks why he keeps things to himself. She knows that the fanatics are targeting the Atlante family to make a sacrifice, and because of this, their mother was cursed. She warns that his overprotectiveness may lead to misunderstanding, and that fighting alone and keeping the problem to himself will not solve the situation. She reminds him that families tell the truth to one another, help each other, and simply make up when they fight. Daniel ponders on what happened and thinks that because of his actions, he makes them all at risk. Later, Sylvia arranges all preparations needed for Delta admission to the academy and her sister's treatment. She dresses up for a tea gathering at the Imperial Palace and is ready to go. She wants to hear Thieve repeat his compliment, but he gets too shy, and so they start to bicker. Sir Joseph is about to scold Thieve, but when he sees how happy she looks, his concern melts away. Later, at the Rose Garden, Duchess Soph welcomes everyone to her tea party until our gorgeous lady in red, Sylvia, appears, much to the Duchess's surprise. Sylvia asks her over tea if she has apologized to Lady Dolce for poisoning her. She says no, but her dramatic response belies her denial. Sylvia shows her a vial that looks identical to the one Soph used to poison Lady Dolce, and Sylvia doesn't have to say anything since Duchess Soph overreacts yet again, saying she has been poisoned. The priest rushes over to heal her, but there is nothing to heal because she is healthy. Sylve, on the other hand, reacts furiously, certain that she has consumed poison. When the investigator is trying to close the case, she makes a mistake and gives away information about the poison, raising suspicions. And just in time, a report comes in revealing that she is the culprit behind the current poisoning and for putting a spy at the Atlante residence. Consequently, she is arrested. The trial of Duchess Sylve has been reported to the Empress. The Duchess is known as the Empress's closest confidant, so even though she didn't arrange the poisoning, it will nonetheless affect her. And now more than ever, she wants to get rid of Sylvia, who keeps getting in the way. Back in her place, she is stunned to see her siblings gather together. Well, they actually remember that they are supposed to go out together before she and Ailen leave for the academy, making her really happy. While having their meal, Daniel finally decides to explain to Cedric and Ailen the reason why he has been wandering around. And as expected, they both feel terrible for what their big brother has to go through, and they resolve any misunderstanding with a hug. They are about to return home when Crown Prince Kenneth appears behind Sylvia and takes her away. Sylvia looks upset with his sudden kidnapping, while Kenneth laughs at her. His tone shifts as he informs her that Baron Jeff is actually an underling of the woman he believes to be the Empress, and that the vial that caused the monsters to rampage was created by black magic. Sylvia is still puzzling why she's involved with all of this when Kenneth changed the subject and mentions he'll be leaving for monster expeditions. He requests a handkerchief from her that he can easily bring, and like an arrow she shoots, she straight away asks if he likes her, or her sister, since she knows they were engaged in the past, but no, he confesses he likes Sylvia. His days are always repetitive, enduring each day. However, when he meets Sylvia, he changes. While the fireworks behind them shine, he declares that he must be in love with her. In her room, Sylvia finished embroidering the handkerchief Kenneth requested. However, she's debating whether to give it or not. In the future, she knows Kenneth successfully ended the war, but a lot has changed since she's been tampering with the flow, and it makes her very uneasy to think he might die. Anyway, today is the day she'll go to the academy, but before she does, she gives her butler, Sir Vente, Rashim's address, and instructs him to appoint her as the head of an organization, since she knows Rashim has talents and will do wonders. Vente takes the order and is so proud of how much she has grown that he can't help but give her a hug. And lastly, she visits Thieve and gives him the pair of wind swords. As soon as the swords touch, they start to glow and change colors to white and gold. Sylvia then notices that he can now use mana. He explains that he quickly learned it in order to be worthy of her gifts, making her proud. Aww. And when she tells him she'll be leaving for the academy, Thieve starts crying, thinking she's pushing him away, when in fact, she's only reluctant to take him with her because he now has a home with his newfound friends and teacher. He takes Sylvia's hand, stating that he'll go anywhere with her, and leans in for a kiss before the other trainees arrive, causing her to run away. Meanwhile, Kenneth is kissing the handkerchief Sylvia gave him, and he prepares for the ceremonial before they go to battle. Daniel receives word that his father is now at their summer villa, which implies that their mother's condition is worsening. During his pursuit of the fanatics, he discovers that the Empress is involved and believes that the only one who can stand up to her is the Crown Prince. Thus, he desperately hopes he survives the war. Back at the academy, both sisters are holding hands, happy to be spending more time together, when the genius Cain Azawald interrupts them. Ailen and Cain start to bicker, wanting to get Sylvia's attention. Their classes have not yet begun, but our girl is already having a major headache. Their first class is with Sir Morgan, a well-known professor who always looks down on less bright pupils, and was the one who mistreated Sylvia in the past. He starts to insult students who can't understand the ancient language he uses to teach. However, Sylvia outsmarts him by correcting the sentences and spelling he used. To further embarrass him, she asks him why he got it wrong when everything is basic, causing him to walk out and ending their class. Ailen and Sylphide are astounded by Sylvia's brilliance during the class. Anyhow, Sylvia has her own room now that she's the president, whereas Ailen's roommate is Stella, whom Sylphide considers dangerous. It looks like Professor Morgan has been suspended as more students start to complain about his teaching. Sweet revenge for the original Sylvia. The next lesson is with Zachis Murtha, who will teach about mana. They jump right into practical exercises and call Sylvia to the front. He then demonstrates to everyone how to break a stone slab using mana, and Sylvia follows suit. He believes it is too simple for her and begins throwing multiple slabs at her, which she simply breaks into pieces. Everyone is stunned, especially Professor Zachis, who instructs her to stay after class. He wants her to join his club because it will undoubtedly help her grow as a great magician. But she is still undecided because she wants to join the reading club instead. It is the only club that has previously accepted Sylvia, and she wishes to meet the man who has shown her kindness before. Sylphide asks if their dorm is really all female, which Sylvia confirms, and adds that there are magic tools all around to detect people's gender. But to her surprise, Sylphide alerts her that there seems to be a man in Ailen's room. She rushes over to Ailen's room and is glad to find out she's safe. There seem to be no traces of any break-in either, and the only thing left suspicious is her roommate. Stella is rarely in their room and always returns late, and what bothers Ailen more is that she doesn't really want to speak to her. Sylvia waits for her and greets her, but Stella appears troubled and goes straight to her room. The next day, she is still bothered by the warning Sylphide gives her that Stella's soul is twisted and dark. Ailen even refuses to transfer to her room as she wants to get close to Stella. While she keeps thinking, she slips, and luckily, Thieve catches her. This is the first time they've seen each other since they almost kissed, leaving Sylvia unable to function properly. She's able to calm down and provides him with instructions on how to meet Ken to get information about Stella. She returns to her class, concerned about the group project assigned by the professor. Sylvia, being Sylvia, will take advantage of this. Kane volunteers to be her group mate, and she asks Lady Stella to join them. Stella joins their group, allowing Sylvia to keep a closer eye on her. Thieve, looking so manly, shows up as he finishes the errand she gave him. He hands Sylvia a document containing an address and schedule where she can meet Ken personally. However, there is no information about Stella included in the letter, suggesting that she might be part of something bigger. She thanks Thieve, but as he prepares to depart, she becomes sad and invites him to go to the capital, which he greatly accepts. The Central Academy was once a military academy to teach how to fight against demons, which is why until now they are required to take combat courses. Isel City strictly controls who enters and exits the city, and the area beyond the border is still uncharted territory full of demons with no plants or animals that can grow. Listening to the professor makes her think of the Crown Prince, wishing he is safe with his expedition. Sylvia, Belle, and Thieve go to Isel's capital to look around. Belle finds a fountain, which is said to help one find one's true love. Sylvia finds it fascinating, but Thieve does not. He has no time for love and even mentions that he doesn't know what it's like to love someone. Hearing him say it all rips her heart, and then she realizes she must have been wrong about him the whole time. His sweet acts must be meaningless. Then she remembers he never told her he liked her, making her cry. To be fair, Thieve grew up without a family or friends, and all he does is survive on the streets until Sylvia comes along. He is terrified that she would reject him when she learns he is in love with her, so he thinks that what they have now is enough and that all he needs to do is protect her. Enough of the drama. Ken and Sylvia are now finally meeting. Ken reveals the information about Stella, and it appears that she's from the nearby kingdom of Plato. In terms of family relations, she has a twin brother, Prince Arvis, who is said to be ill and rarely appears in public. To make it short, she is Stella Arvis, the only princess of the kingdom of Plato. And what's even more alarming, the Arvis royal family appears to be tied to the Fanatics. The truth is that the Arvis twins were involved in an accident in which the brother died and Stella survived. Her mother was furious and wished she had died instead of her brother. This is where the Fanatics come in. Her parents decided to use her as a sacrifice, and as a result, her brother's soul took possession of her body. Or Stella. And in order for the prince to totally take over her body, her parents must continue performing their rituals. Stella, however, refuses to give up and escapes in search of Archmage Alam, the Academy's head. The man Sylphide felt that night is her brother's soul gnawing at her body, and Sylvia can't help but cry when she hears her story. Sylvia begins studying in the library in the hopes of uncovering information about Stella's curse and the magical ritual they performed on her. Her aim is to learn more about ancient ruins since they are items used to worship the devil. But no books in the library are useful, so she marks all historic sites that she believes have a connection to the fanatics and sets up to check the locations. Her only problem is, she can't leave East Cell City unless the Academy is on break. Well, Ailen has the perfect solution. Join the Exploration Club, which has special permission to leave the city to undertake study on ancient ruins. What surprises Sylvia is that Professor Murta, the teacher who is so keen to recruit her, is in charge of the club. Sylvia then recalls something, and the reason she doesn't know anything about the professor is that in the future, the entire group, including Murta, will go missing while exploring. It will be troublesome to get involved, but Sylvia cannot ignore the guilt she will feel given that she knows what the future holds for the club, so she plans to prevent it while at the same time inspecting the ruins. Sylvia decides to join two clubs, which are the Reading Club and the Exploration Club. But little did she know, her 3 cutie fans were tailing her. Oh, I bet they'll totally join the clubs our girl ends up joining. Following that, Sylvia walks aimlessly, recalling Theve's hurtful words the last time they met, when the boy who just crushed her heart appears out of nowhere, causing her to blush. She receives letters from her brother Daniel from Thieve, but his behavior takes a turn when he finds out that the other letter is from the Crown Prince, who informs Sylvia that the handkerchief she gave him was truly aiding him on the mission. After that, Thieve cuts her off mid-read to ask if she plans to reply to the Crown Prince's letter, which Sylvia takes as an act of jealousy, contradicting his prior words about not liking anyone. She pulls his shirt, bringing their faces closer together, and smiles as she notices how much our boy here is blushing. Sylvia instantly realizes that Thieve was lying about not having feelings, so she goes without explaining what she just did in hopes that Thieve will be unable to sleep tonight. Well, glad that there are no more misunderstandings, but I feel bad about the Crown Prince. Who to choose? Meanwhile, Archmage Alam is thinking about Sylvia and finds it odd that she is enrolled in the academy. He believes Sylvia is unable to recall a specific memory, so he intends to meet with her at some point. Does he know that our girl is from the future? That she transmigrated? Or both? Anyway, Sylvia has joined the reading club, and as expected, Ailen, Kian, and Stella have all joined. Although they behave as if it's all a coincidence. The club president, Theo, then warmly welcomes them all and can't believe they have new club members, which makes Sylvia happy. But now that she thinks about it, she feels that these 3 of her fans have also joined the Exploration Club like her. And she's not mistaken. They also join her for the Exploration Club orientation, which makes her sigh. They discover that any member, including first-year students, can participate in the forthcoming club trip if they pass a special test to determine their abilities to protect themselves during the trip. Regardless of how difficult the test is, Sylvia intends to take it because she is convinced that the nearing club incident is the work of fanatics. They would all vanish, leaving just the fanatic symbols written on the walls, leading her to believe that the fanatics were already at the site, collecting all the artifacts when the Exploration Club happened to wander in. Because they are not typical students, the cult must have used them as sacrifices. However, Sylvia's good intentions are being questioned by a club member who believes she is merely showing off when she is nothing more than the famed fat, ugly duckling. This girl needs to shut up! Sylvia recognizes her as Lessa Twint, who is from a powerful family and known to bully commoner students. Ailen is ready to fight back, but her big sister is holding her back since it's a pointless fight. But what she doesn't realize is that Kian is more aggressive than he appears and insults Lessa in return. Let's go put that nasty girl in her place. From an early age on, Lessa was instilled with a sense of great pride and the expectation that she would become the next Empress and marry Crown Prince Kenneth. That is why when Kenneth expresses interest in our lovely Sylvia, Lessa becomes outraged, believing the Crown Prince is hers. Wake up, witch! That night, Sylvia meets with our delivery boy Thieve and receives the letters from Daniel, who has been giving her tips for the club's special exam, and shockingly, even Ken is aware of her approaching test and provides her with thorough notes. Since the night is still young, Sylvia tells him about her new friends, Stella and Kian, who even defend her when she's insulted, which she finds endearing. Thieve is delighted that she's enjoying her time at the academy with her sister and friends, though she admits she is more of a guardian guiding her kids. Anyway, Sylvia wants to know if Thieve is getting along with the other servants and adjusting well, to which he responds positively, making Sylvia relieved. The night is getting cold, so Thieve wraps her in his coat to keep her warm, causing Sylvia to flush and fall in love with Thieve's scent on it. These two are low-key flirting, and I'm not complaining. After a while, Sylvia returns to her dorm, unaware that Thieve is simply appearing to be fine when he's actually covered in bruises. The next day, Sylvia and the gang take the special test given by Professor Murtha, who is overjoyed to see 4 first-year students with promising potential. He is, however, puzzled to see Sylvia, his favorite student, unable to solve question 13 on the test, which is his freebie question. Well, it's not that the problem is particularly difficult, rather, Sylvia can only think of one answer, which is still to be discovered in the future. The clock is ticking, so she can't afford to waste any more mental energy pondering the question, thus, she is forced to write down the answer instead of leaving it blank. While the rest are off doing volunteer work after the test, Sylvia plans to invite Thieve and Belle to eat dessert when she sees Thieve getting bullied by some students. She watches Thieve being pushed and chooses to remain silent while being insulted for running around their campus, thanks to his master. Thieve is trying to control his anger while the ugly bully despises his glaring eyes. But before he can punch Thieve, Sylvia appears and strikes him in the face first. Yes, girl. He stumbles and gets support from his friend after taking a clean punch. Then he smirks at the sight of Sylvia, saying he can't believe Thieve's master is such a beauty and that this must be why Thieve never fought back, which surprises Sylvia because she had no idea he'd been bullied all this time. After admiring Sylvia's piercing stare, the bully approaches to touch her, which doesn't sound right to Thieve, who gives the bully a powerful punch, threatening him to never dare touch Sylvia. Really bold of this bully to harass a lady in front of her bodyguard. He deserves a real beating. The only reason Thieve is keeping himself on a leash in the face of all the bullying is that he never wants Sylvia to get in trouble. But now, when this filthy student tries to touch her, there's no reason to keep quiet. Thieve grabs the now half-dead, filthy, yucky, disgusting bully and displays his dominance while warning him not to approach Sylvia, which the guy instantly accepts and apologizes for. Thieve then quickly checks Sylvia to see whether she's harmed. But when she stutters to respond, he concludes that the bully must have scared her too much, and he now intends to properly punish the guy. However, Sylvia orders him to stop, which, I know guys, is unfortunate. But our girl is more concerned about Thieve being bullied since the entrance ceremony. Sylvia then asks him to remove his shirt, and while he is hesitant, she tugs his shirt up and notices numerous bruises, which makes her very upset. She yells at him, asking if he ever plans to tell her about what's going on with him and let the bullies beat him up nonstop. But when Thieve fails to reply, she knows he would have endured it all for her. As much as Sylvia knows that Thieve is solely concerned about her, she still wants him to know that she is worried about him as well. He insists on acting as though everything is fine, when in fact it is obviously not. And Sylvia starts to cry. She tells him he doesn't need to carry his problems on his own anymore, because he has people he can rely on. Thieve doesn't know what to do except keep repeating sorry. He's been alone for so long and surviving hardship by himself in his system, but now he realizes his life is different. He has Sylvia who is willing to support him, which urges him to hold her and cry. Meanwhile, Professor Murtha is dissatisfied with the test papers until he comes across Sylvia's paper. After reading Sylvia's answer to question 13 regarding how to locate the ruins, he becomes frantic to arrange an urgent meeting with other professors. Whoopsie! Looks like Sylvia's futuristic answer will cause a ruckus. Murtha proudly shares Sylvia's answer with the professors, and he has already gone to test Sylvia's theory, and it worked. Until now, they used magic tools to locate buried artifacts, but had no way of knowing how deep underground they were. Thanks to Sylvia's innovative solution of incorporating multiple magic tools, they can finally see how deep it is and whatever lies above it. In short, the evacuation will be easier because they will be able to detect if there are any streams or traps in the ground. All of the professors start to praise Sylvia, except for Professor Fauble, who thinks that the new method needs more testing. And since there is a second part of the special test, he also plans to join and observe Sylvia. Sylvia, Stella, and Kian are now in the reading club preparing for their class presentation, when Theo interrupts them to give them refreshments and informs them that the second half of the Exploration Club test will be held in a magically simulated domain, which they already know thanks to Sylvia. She then receives an unexpected meeting invitation from the magical tower, which she accepts, and upon entering a room, she is surprised when she finds Ken. He is not part of the magic tower and is only ordered by the High Mage Ailen to deliver a special message, which intrigues our girl. Ailen has been making an effort to get rid of the fanatics and has formed a special organization for that, which Daniel is a member of, and Ailen now wants her to join them. Ken is also curious because Ailen often does not make offers to students who have not yet graduated, but she appears to be an exception. The offer comes as a shock to Sylvia, but she knows that by joining Ailen, she can help Stella break her curse. The catch is that she is afraid Ailen will discover Sylphide's existence, and he might even find out that she has memories of the future. Sylvia declines the offer and is about to leave, but it appears that Ailen has already anticipated this and has Ken relay a message to her that he has the answer to why she went back to the past, causing our girl to be taken aback. Sylphide recalls his previous summoner, who has long black hair and is dressed elegantly in black, telling him that she misses her family, friends, and home, while poor Sylphide attempts to reassure her that he is her home. Sylphide then cries as she apologizes and walks away towards the demon, never looking back at him. I have many theories in mind, but we'll see how this story goes. Today is the field test, but Sylvia's thoughts are still consumed by Ailen's message, and there is a high chance he knows about her secret, so she has no other choice but to see him after the exam. The examiners enter the magically generated realm and find themselves in a forest. Their goal is to find the ancient artifacts in 3 hours, and now that it has been announced that whoever finishes first will receive bonus points, Sylvia and Sylphide are even more determined to complete quickly. The professors have started watching the students and are currently annoyed because the exam has been pushed back due to a visitor from the Magic Tower meeting with one of the students, who we all know is Ken and Sylvia. They believe the Magic Tower is looking to recruit a specific student and begin to suspect it could be Kian or Lessa, who are making rapid progress in the exam. And they doubt it is Sylvia because she's simply going casually. Well, these professors have no idea that Sylvia has been successfully avoiding traps thanks to our proud Sylphide, and has discovered an artifact until she gets caught off guard by an attack and realizes it is Lessa. This red-haired girl has no intention of stopping and launches a continuous fire attack on Sylvia, not caring if it could have killed our girl. But well, her attacks don't even leave a single scratch on our girl. She looks so cool. Even the professors are surprised that Sylvia did not cast any spells, but then they observe a wind around her, leading them to believe she is a summoner. They notice, based on her abilities, that her contract appears to be with a high-level spirit. If these folks find out that it's the Spirit King, they might pass out. Sylvia is so confused with Lessa's actions. What is the point of her attacks when she could simply try to get the artifact first? She eventually finds out that this girl is simply upset because she believes Sylvia is stealing the crown prince from her. Does the prince even know her? Such a delulu! Lessa prepares another assault when the ground starts crumbling, leading both of them to fall into the mouth of a demon. It's already too late for Sylvia to counter the demon, but thankfully, Sylphide is there to help her, fanning away the gas of illusion while carrying her. OMG, they look cute too! Since Lessa is the one who activated the trap, he blew all the gas on her, and she's probably being devoured in her hallucinations right now. Another sweet revenge. They then discovered the artifact and she passed the test in just 40 minutes. If Lessa hadn't been such a pain, Sylvia could have completed the exam much faster. Meanwhile, Professor Fauble has realized that Sylvia is the student who attracts Ailen's attention, which is bad news because if she ends up working with Ailen, she might find out he is working with the higher-ups and expose his experiments, so he plans to get rid of her during the Exploration Club's trip. Ailen has also been exchanging letters with Daniel, and she shares that Sylvia passed the special test and that even though she failed, she is grateful to have her big sister on her side. Daniel, who receives the letter, is so proud of Sylvia that he leaves the mansion in a hurry to buy gifts for his 2 younger sisters. Vente informs the Duke of the wonderful news and proposes that he buys gifts for his daughters as well, which he agrees with and even intends to pick out the presents personally. The Duke has been low-key protecting his daughters on the sidelines. Remember Count Evita, who criticizes Sylvia? He's been dispatched to the mines to serve as a laborer for House Atlante. How about Lady Everdeen? She has been forced to marry a Viscount who is a noted alcoholic and gambler. The men who kidnapped Ailen? They've all been executed. Vente can only wish that the Duke would show his care to his daughter. Though he has been a strict man ever since, he became even colder after the incident that happened to the Duchess. House Atlante has also been keeping tabs on the imperial family, and it appears that the Emperor's condition is the result of being poisoned or cursed by the Empress. They also know that the Empress has dispatched killers to assassinate the Crown Prince, but they have received word that he is safe. Speaking about the Crown Prince, he is now taking a break after killing hundreds of demons and realizes that this is a pointless battle because they will not stop coming unless he finds a way to destroy the core. He can't wait to see Sylvia again when his handkerchief slips from his coat and he bends down, saving him from an assassin's attack. He strikes once more as the Crown Prince gets caught off guard. Sylvia receives Daniel's gift for the trip, a high-level defense magic item, but what surprises her is her father's rare potion gift that she thinks might come in handy. The exploration club has arrived at a small ancient ruin, and Thieve tags along since he's Sylvia's protector. This is his first time in a ruin full of traps, so Sylvia promises him that she will protect him. But Thieve is confident and eager to protect her this time, which really sounds flirty to the other students. The students have a lot of faith in Sylvia's leadership, and the expedition is going incredibly well for everyone because she continues alerting them about the traps. Professor Murad has been keeping an eye on things and is impressed with Sylvia's ability to recognize all of the traps as well as Thieve's extraordinary combat abilities. Suddenly, the ground begins shaking and a strange figure in a coat appears, whom Sylvia believes requires immediate restraint. So she tells Sylphide to do it, but he never appears, allowing the man to swiftly grab her with his dark vines. Thieve hurries over to save her, but it is too late as she falls underground. This man dares put his foot on Sylvia's head, and he appears to be aware that she's a summoner, as evidenced by his use of a magical item capable of cutting off her link to the spirit world. Well, bad for you, evil guy. Sylvia is strong even without Sylphide, so thanks for informing her about the magical tool. Now, our girl can easily split it into pieces with her mana. She then calls Sylphide, who instantly appears and sees that the enemy is a black mage. The mage seems not to be afraid of them since he knows her companions are dying at the hands of the orcs he controls above them. He intends to poison himself, but not on Sylphide's watch. They need him alive for interrogation, so he ties him in a magical rope, and they are now preparing to meet with everyone. Professor Murat is currently protecting the students from the orcs who are getting buffed up by black magic, which isn't really a winnable fight if he's fighting alone, but who said you're the only one fighting? Thieve goes on such a killing spree to get Sylvia that not even Murat can calm him down. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake, and out of nowhere, Sylvia appears. Thieve immediately hugs her and sobs with relief that she is fine. Sylvia then breaks their hug as she discovers that Thieve is not only covered in orc blood, but also has numerous wounds. In the meantime, she uses the potion her father gave her to heal Thieve's wounded hands, and panickingly tells him that they still need to have his serious wounds treated. But before they go on, Thieve apologizes for failing to save her and promises never to let it happen again, making Sylvia's heart go doki doki. However, Sylphide believes it's enough for their reunion and decides to separate them since they must go home before the ruins collapse. They are now outside the ruins, and Professor Murta agrees with Sylvia to interrogate the Black Mage first before handing him over to the Imperial family, who will immediately execute him. However, before they could do so, the Second Order of Imperial Knights arrived to take the Black Mage, which is surprising given that no one from the club has reported being attacked by a Black Mage. Sylvia couldn't argue with the Knights, since the leader used his authority to say that they were instructed by the Emperor personally, and anyone who didn't comply would be labeled as a traitor. On top of that, he added that the Emperor had specifically instructed Sylvia to accompany them, as she was the one who captured the mage. Thieve becomes concerned, but calms down when Sylvia promises him that she will get home safely. Sylvia is now inside the carriage and wants to take precautions, but because she had used all of her mana earlier, she is unable to summon Sylphide or even activate her defensive magic. Then, from behind, a sword pierces the carriage just inches from her head, and she realizes it is the leader of knights attempting to kill her. And before the knight can strike again, he falls dead in front of her, thanks to the crown prince who arrives to save her. He discreetly returns to deal with the assassins sent to him when he receives a lead that an incident happened involving her. I like him too! Sylvia then checks the dead Black Mage and knows she could have been next if the prince hadn't arrived in time, so she expresses her appreciation to him while our cutie prince blushes. He is so thrilled that he closes the gap between them. But too bad, my prince. Her oldest brother comes to stop you. Holding on to Daniel tightly, Sylvia tries to explain that the prince just saved her. However, just as she is about to elaborate, she discovers that he knows her location and learns that Daniel received a signal from the magic tool he gave her last time. It happens that it has a bunch of different spells on it, including a spell that automatically tracks her location when in danger. She becomes enraged because she believes he's invading her privacy, but she calms down after telling him that he must give her a warning next time, to which he agrees. The two explain the situation to Daniel and come to the conclusion that the Knights were trying to get rid of evidence and that whoever is giving the Knights orders could be a fanatic, which the prince suspects is the Empress because the Second Order of Imperial Knights is under her command, and both the captain and vice captain are relatives of her. This time, Sylvia feels Ailen was correct all along, and Daniel encourages her to accompany him to meet Ailen in person since he knows who is giving the fanatics orders and why they are after her. The Empress is becoming increasingly agitated because she hasn't heard anything about whether the task was successfully completed. To her surprise, a mysterious man informs her that her plan has failed, and he is disappointed because they invested so much in her. He goes on to remind her that they made the Emperor sick, gave her a son, and asks how he is doing. Despite her growing agitation, the mysterious man advises her to do better next time, and hopes they can continue their relationship so that her many secrets remain hidden. In the meantime, Daniel and Sylvia use a portal to access the magic tower. He tells Sylvia that Ailen's room is at the top of the tower and that she should use the portal to get there directly. She thanks him and enters. They are now drinking coffee, and Sylvia can't help but stare at a kid-looking Ailen since she expects him to be an elderly man. But he suddenly changes to a youthful look and then to an old man, surprising her. Ailen simply smiles and switches the discussion to his objective of exterminating the fanatics, for which he will require her assistance. Some magicians, including him, have particular abilities to see or hear what will happen in the future. And while what they see is random, it is very helpful to get glimpses like how he saw her end the war with the fanatics. However, Ailen failed to see the victor of the war, and he then casts an accusing glance at Sylvia, who firmly clears up the idea that she would side with the enemy. Ailen believes her, but no one knows what will happen in the future, which is why he wants her to join him in order to fight the fanatics together as well as keep her safe, because he knows she will face more adversaries in the future. He can't tell her who her enemies are because it will jeopardize their chances of winning the battle, so he provides her with a device to reach him after she decides to consider his offer. Before Sylvia leaves, she recalls asking him about what he knows about her coming to the past, but Ailen cuts her off and requests to speak with Sylphide. He knows she has a contract with the Spirit King because he wraps his energy around her, which he recognizes from Sylphide's previous summoner. It's pointless now to keep Sylphide hidden, so she summons him and allows him to have their private chat. The former summoner of Sylphide is the first Empress who died 2 years after building the entire empire. She died 390 years ago, and these two great men were present to witness it. Ailen can see the resemblance between Sylvia and Her Majesty, which he believes is why Sylphide shows Sylvia affection the same way he did for Her Majesty. Then, Sylphide questions why he can't sense any organs in Ailen's body, to which Ailen responds that his tremendous mana is constantly destroying his body, forcing him to reconstruct them every day, which is why his looks may appear different to others. Ailen wants to end his life, but before he does, he wants Sylphide's help in exterminating the fanatics, which our guy quickly declines. Ailen has little choice but to exploit Sylvia's similarity to Her Majesty, who could see her own death in her visions and may die early like Her Majesty. Meanwhile, Sylvia is waiting outside Ailen's office when Sylphide unexpectedly hugs her from behind and says, "I love you." When Sylvia happily tells him that she loves him too, Sylphide looks at her with sadness because he knows she doesn't really mean it the way he does. She's treating him like a child, which is somehow a relief since this way he can shower her with love without holding back. Sylvia returns to the Academy's infirmary to check on Thieve, who is undergoing treatment for his injuries. She touches his head to check his temperature, and he unexpectedly clutches her hands and begs her not to leave. He expresses his frustration at not being able to protect her like he always wanted and worries something horrible could happen to her. Despite his anxieties, he patiently waits for her and begs for praise. She pats his head, praising him for remaining while his wounds were treated and saying he did well. Due to the adverse effects of sleeping medicine, he falls asleep instantly. Meanwhile, Ailen meets with Sylvia's fan club members to advise them that they must prepare a congratulatory party for Sylvia, to which Stella promptly agrees, even arranging her gift for her, and Kian urges them to plan the party before Sylvia comes. One of the students approaches Ailen and informs her that Professor Fauble is looking for her and that it is urgent. The professor offers Ailen tea, which she gratefully accepts, while also inviting her to be under his wing, something that surprises her because she believes she isn't that talented and that he could simply choose a different student, such as Sylvia, who is always the best at everything. Fauble smirks, knowing that Ailen's inferiority to Sylvia will help the drug in her tea function better, so he asks her to work for him again. But it appears that the tea isn't working because she continues to reject the offer. Because he lacks the patience to hear her out, the professor walks up behind her and forces our precious little angel to drink the whole cup of tea. Ailen begins to see illusions that increase her inferiority to Sylvia. People point fingers at her, saying she's only second to Sylvia and that she deserves the label ugly duckling. Now, Ailen begins to believe the voices in her head that tell her she's nothing compared to Sylvia and her worthless little sister. As a result of the successful brainwashing, she agrees to assist the professor in killing Sylvia. No, I believe Ailen can overcome this ugly professor's mind trickery. While sleeping, Kian sees the entire academy on fire and abruptly wakes up huffing after seeing something horrible happen to Sylvia in his vision. The next morning, Sylvia reads the bulletin and notices that the Academy Festival is approaching. She recalls the original Sylvia's memories of enjoying the fireworks show, which lasted just a short time since a massive fire broke out in their academy, killing many students. Sylvia begins to prepare ways to prevent that future when Kian appears, and as if reading her mind, reveals that a disaster is on its way. He never informed anyone after his parents rebuked him, but he confesses to Sylvia that he can see glimpses of the future and desperately hopes Sylvia will believe him. Sylvia smiles and immediately says she believes him, knowing he is the future Magic Tower Master. She is astounded that Kian possesses the same abilities as Ailen. Kian whispers to her what he saw, warning her about the huge fire at the coming festival that cannot be put out because it contains black magic, and the person behind it is a fanatic known to all as the nice Professor Fauble. However, there is one more vision he had, and it is about Ailen, which surprises Sylvia. Ailen is currently dealing with her mind, which keeps flashing her visions of Sylvia saying nasty things to her, and even encouraging her to kill herself. Ailen tears, begging her mind to stop until Professor Fauble appears in her vision, assuring her that she is a kind lady with an evil sister and convincing her to carry out his order to kill Sylvia. That night, Ailen meets with Sylvia to present her with a celebratory gift for passing the club's exam while wearing a malicious smile and concealing a blade behind her. She asks Sylvia to close her eyes, which her big sister does, and is about to stab her when the real Ailen in her thought stops her, forcing her to stab herself instead. I never doubted our angel, but I hope she's fine. Sylvia quickly catches her sister, and despite Ailen's pain, she wants Sylvia to know that she would never intentionally hurt her. Even though Sylvia knew from Kian's vision that the professor had put something in Ailen's tea to make her act strange towards her, she still couldn't bring herself to harm her younger sister. The drug made Ailen despise Sylvia, but Ailen knows it will never work since her feelings for her have always been love and respect. Also, don't worry guys, Ailen will be alright. The dagger will only constrain the person from using magic for a short period, not kill her. But that doesn't mean it won't hurt, so Ailen collapses just before Big Sister is about to unleash her fury on feeble Fauble. Sylvia wastes no time, meets with the professor and promptly punches and stomps on his face. She is so enraged that she vows to kill him right away, but this nasty professor still has the gall to respond, thinking Sylvia is Ailen's minion sent to bring him down. Such a pathetic move that Sylvia can tell he feels inferior to Ailen because the High Mage did not take him under his wing. Besides that, even after graduating, he was unable to get good employment, which is why he ended up selling his soul to the devil and gaining black magic. This guy isn't even denying any of it, and he even expresses gratitude to black magic for allowing him to get the position of a recognized professor. He doesn't even feel bad about killing innocent people for power, forcing Sylvia to give up her plan to kill him fast and instead torture him until he understands the pain of the people he sacrificed. She turns to instruct Thieve to contact Professor Murta, while Fauble takes advantage of the chance to cast a spell and detonate the black magic devices he set up all around the academy as part of his suicide attempt, in which he includes everyone as sacrifices to the Fire Devil. The entire academy is in disarray, and Professor Murta is directing students to evacuate, while those who can use water should assist in putting out the fire, but the fire won't go out no matter what they do. Fauble is losing it and can't wait for everyone to burn to death because it will give him power, while Thieve gives him a nice smack in the face to get him to stop talking. Thieve then urges Sylvia to go immediately, but all she can hear is the students' dread, the uncontrollable fire, and the realization that, unlike in the past, people would die because she was unable to stop Fauble. Before it gets to her head, she gives herself a slap, snapping out of it, and realizes that her friends and everyone else will die if she does nothing to put out the fire. Though the circumstances are different, the previous and current fires were all set using black magic, and Ailen appeared in the past to extinguish them. Sylvia begins to rack her brain, recalling how Ailen extinguished the fire, and instantly summons Sylphi to transport her to the Ethereal Lake. Just when all the students and instructors are losing hope, Sylvia appears, bringing with her the water from the lake, and she throws it down in one go, extinguishing the fire and saving everyone. Sylvia is still in her stance and shaking, unsure if she rescued the academy, so Sylphi reassures her that it is all over while hugging her, causing Sylvia to finally relax and let out her emotions. After some time has passed, Sylvia and Ailen travel to the central shrine to see priest Ionele, who has heard about the terrible fire. He is aware that a student named Kian was hidden when Sylvia confronted the professor in order to record their conversation, which will be used against him in court. The Black Mage professor will be interrogated, and after that, there is no doubt that he will be executed. The main reason for their visit, however, is for the priest to heal Ailen from the stabbing injury, which he cheerfully accepts and even asks Sylvia to heal herself in a healing chamber. Sylvia then enters the chamber and places her feet in the water, which soon melts her exhaustion when a devil grabs her feet and drags her into the deep. Seriously, give our girl a break! Sylvia is drowning until she suddenly hears her mother's voice. Her true mother, not Sylvia's mom, who she misses. But she suddenly realizes she can't recall her mother's face. It's only been a few months since she transmigrated, yet no matter how hard she tries, nothing comes to mind. She can't recall her family or even her own name. Sylvia then finds herself in an eerie place with a being that calls himself God, which our girl finds absurd because no god would smell as bad as he does. So she guesses he's a devil. The Great Demon King then unveils his face, revealing the same devil she's been seeing in her visions. Before the real Sylvia was meant to be sacrificed by the fanatics, he and the original Sylvia signed a contract. Sylvia murdered the fanatic and offered him to the devil, pleading with him to let her reset her life as someone beautiful, caring, and intelligent like her siblings. The devil fulfilled her request, so now he expects Sylvia to keep her half of the bargain. But he gets surprised when she refuses and explains that her body may be Sylvia's, but her soul isn't. She believes their souls were switched when the devil granted Sylvia's wish to travel back in time, something the devil denies because he never makes errors. As proof, their contract should be branded to her heart, but he is shocked to find nothing in her heart, causing him to become outraged. Sylvia, on the other hand, smiles because she has finally found the being responsible for her transmigration, and she now wants to obtain all the knowledge she can from the devil by proposing a new contract to him, which he accepts. They are now back in Atlante's mansion with the devil in his disguise of a two-tailed black cat, as he needs to take a form that requires little demonic energy to survive in the human world. He looks cute, though. Sylvia then discovers that the devil can't reveal his true identity since names have powers that can be used against him. They then discuss their contract, and Sylvia's want is for him to return her to her own world, while the devil's wish is for Sylvia to obtain the Holy Goblet, which contains his sealed powers, so he can return and take his throne in the underworld. After Sylvia determines that the devil has no intention of taking over the human world, she begins drafting a detailed contract. Their conversation comes to an end when Sylvia is summoned to visit the Duke, who wants her to leave the academy and travel to Avart, where the real Sylvia was exiled in the past. Sylvia poisoned herself because she didn't want to travel to Avart, and now she can't help but cry since she can't believe the Duke is still ordering her to leave despite being a good daughter. The Duke explains that she has to go because people are spreading rumors that she is a black mage due to her immense power, rapid change in looks, and even claims that she used magic to seduce the crown prince. He merely wants her to lie low and promises her that she will be safe in Avart because her uncle will be there. But Sylvia is still upset, so she refuses and storms out of his office. Sylvia hides in the bush crying, while the devil tries to cheer her up by telling her that the goblet is actually in the north, so she should go, and that her feud with her father can still be fixed, so she should stop crying. She can't believe she's being consoled by the devil until Thieve appears out of nowhere. She then tells him that she's leaving for Avart, a dangerous location, but she can't bring herself to ask him to accompany her when our best wingman pushes Sylvia to Thieve. He quickly embraces her and pledges to follow her wherever she goes, causing Sylvia to cry. I had no idea this demon was so wholesome all this time! To give everyone a little background on this demon cat, someone summoned him a long time ago and stole all of his powers. His only hope now is to obtain the Holy Goblet, which is why he used his remaining power to forge a contract with Sylvia. Sylphide meets the black cat, who proudly presents himself as the Demon King, while Sylvia refers to it as her new pet devil she contracted with. This baffles Sylphide, who assures her that he is aware of her intelligence, but warns her against putting trust in the cat because demons are inherently cruel and will use their victims for their own gain. She assures Sylphide that she hasn't let down her guard and that she knows a deal with the devil can be dangerous, but Sylphide feels betrayed and begins to question if he isn't enough for her. As Sylvia confesses that she chose the devil since she isn't the actual Sylvia, Sylphide interrupts and says he knew all along because he is, after all, the Spirit King. Oh, he knew! Sylphide then opens up about his previous summoner and shares that she was close to Ailen. Thus, he and the mage became acquainted, but after his summoner died, they grew distant. The worst part is that his summoner died because she made a contract with the devil. That is why he is so opposed to her decision. He fears losing her the way he lost his previous summoner. Sylvia is about to say something when a servant knocks on her door and informs her that Count Orlo wishes to see her. Sylvia's uncle, Count Orlo, is delighted to meet her and remarks that she resembles her mother, Asha. As they stroll around the garden, her uncle tells her how much her mother loved her children and would do anything for them. And as Asha's brother, he also wants nothing but Sylvia to be safe. They finally arrive in Avart, and Sylvia thanks everyone and apologizes for bringing them to fight demons in the north. She's touched that Sir Joseph and his students give her assurance that they're eager to fight and train. When asked about Thieve, he says he likes the atmosphere and is grateful to have been deployed to the north. Anywhere with Sylvia is a happy place for him, for sure. However, what surprises Sylvia is Prince Kenneth, who greets her from behind and shares that he was assigned to deal with some demons nearby, when Count Orlo recommended they join forces. As the prince begins to flirt with our girl, Thieve intervenes, taking Sylvia away with the pretense that he needs to give her a report. Kenneth consents that Thieve is protecting Sylvia from him because of jealousy, which he finds ridiculous since he's nothing but a bodyguard. That's minus points for you, my prince. Sylvia finds out that demons are now battling in one direction, which is undoubtedly where the Holy Goblet is, and she hopes to find it during today's demon hunt. With Sir Joseph and his knights joining forces with the Crown Prince and his people, everything should go smoothly, when suddenly the ground starts rumbling. Whoever is behind this is targeting Sylvia, and she's now getting sucked into the ground. But Thieve will not let this happen again, so he holds her tight, while the Crown Prince grabs her other arm. However, the black magic has become so strong that the three of them fall. Sylvia wakes up in a weird-looking chamber with Thieve on top of her, but before these two can do any lovey-dovey actions, the Crown Prince grabs Thieve away from Sylvia like he's a cat. I might like this duo. Anyway, the Crown Prince thinks that they are in a temple built during the Dark Ages where they worship the devil. In short, they are in a demon world where Sylvia cannot summon Sylphide, making her anxious. They start looking for an exit and see a door with no demonic energy inside, so they decide to go in, where they find ancient murals that the Crown Prince can recognize, since they have these drawings in the Imperial Palace's hidden temple. It is actually the story of how the first Empress ended the Dark Ages and built the Empire. The Crown Prince recites the meaning of the mural and goes on to say that the first Empress was a frail girl living simply with her loving family when a black mage took everything from her and set her village on fire. She's the only survivor who witnesses the entire tragedy, causing her to be filled with rage and set out on an adventure to change the world. And that's the beginning of the first Empress's heroic legend. Sylvia then gets surprised when she recognizes Sylphide from the drawings and believes the first Empress must be his previous summoner. The Crown Prince is also confused since there are drawings that aren't in the palace, and they find out that the first Empress made a deal with the devil before she died. This is all too much information for Sylvia, but what makes her knees weak is a drawing of a smartphone and a helicopter, which could mean that the first Empress came from her world. She can worry about that next time, because their big problem now is getting stuck there since time flows differently. A few minutes there would be days in the human world. And who else would be really thrilled about them missing? None other than the Witch Empress. Duke Atlante is furious when he learns that Sylvia, her bodyguard, and the Crown Prince have gone missing. He orders the preparation of a troop to rescue his daughter, but the news of his dying wife makes him more emotional. But he chooses to save his daughter first when he recalls his wife's request that he take care of their children for her. As they journey to the location, his thoughts turn to his wife, telling her he's sorry, but it's time for him to protect their child and pleading with her to wait a little longer. When Sylvia hears a voice telling her to hurry and saying that he's waiting, she asks Thieve and the prince to make sure she's the only one who heard the voice. Though still confused, she chooses to approach the voice calling her in the hopes of figuring out a way out after hearing the same voice again. The black magic-wielding knight binds her hands, which infuriates the prince. But before he can move, the black magic attacks them as well. The crazed knight then brings Sylvia to the underground and gives her the urgent order to retrieve the weird-looking object in the middle. Disoriented by his commands, she chooses to follow him temporarily. And when she gets closer to the center core, she hears the voice once more and reaches for it. The insane knight quickly grabs it away from her, but he is instantly set on fire because only the worthy can touch it. After surprising her with the cute, tiny creature, he introduces himself as the world's tree seed. He tells her he has waited a long time for her and begs her to place him somewhere full of energy so he can grow bigger and higher. Sylvia won't plant him because she's not his master and they had a misunderstanding, but she'll help him find his master because he saved her. The seed is surprised that his owner has forgotten him, so he plans to stay with her to make her recall him. He then tells her he can reverse death and takes her and her friends home. They finally return to the north when she notices her frightened father, who quickly hugs her. However, there's no room for celebration as they suddenly receive a report that the Duchess has died. Duke Atlante laments the passing of his wife and remembers their pleasant times together. He cries and shouts her name again and again, pleading for her to open her eyes. Sylvia has never seen the Duke display any emotion and feels he is simply repressing his feelings in order to avoid falling apart and to protect his family and the woman he loves. So seeing him sob in agony like this breaks her heart. She approaches her father, telling him that she can resurrect her mother and showing him the seed she found in the ruins that can resurrect the dead if he can trust her. And her father, with a sad face but determination, tells her that he trusts her and begs her to save her mother. Sylvia then begs the tree seed to save her mother, but he is surprised to tell her that he cannot because she is not dead. Her heart has stopped, but the seed can tell that her spark of life hasn't gone out, and learns that there is so much demonic energy surrounding her that her body is consumed by black magic. The demonic voice inside Asha's body tells her to assault them using his power and bring their hearts to him. They are all taken aback when Asha opens her eyes and attacks them, causing her father to yell in an attempt to stop her from assaulting Sylvia. Her mother is really pretty, though. The Duchess approaches the confused Sylvia and chokes her to death, as the Duke tries to restrain his wife, telling her to stop but not daring to hurt her. She pauses for a second after hearing a familiar voice, but the demon controlling her is so strong that she can't fully snap out of it. So she pushes her husband to the ground and is about to kill Sylvia when the Duke shouts that the person she's going to kill is her own daughter. He feels helpless, and the only thing he can do is remind his wife that Sylvia is their lovely daughter, causing the Duchess to cease being aggressive while the devil in her head becomes enraged and orders her to obey him. This time, the Duchess confronts the demon in the black robe, strikes him, and he disappears, freeing her from the curse. Mother's love really works wonders. Finally, Sylvia's mother returns to her senses, instantly hugs her, and apologizes for what she has done. The Duchess continues to sob while hugging Sylvia, and she can't believe her baby has grown so much, while Sylvia and the Duke can't help but cry with joy that she's finally back. I am relieved that no one gets hurt in the end, and yay for the family reunion! On the other hand, since the demon's plan of using Sylvia's mother failed, he switches tactics and uses a girl who looks exactly like Sylvia. After a few days, they return to the mansion, which is now more lively than ever. The Duchess has finally reunited with her children, and the Duke has been trying to get closer to Sylvia, which is still a little weird for her, but she's not complaining. There is no school for Sylvia yet, since following the fire with Professor Fauble, they discovered black magic experiments all across the academy that need to be purified, so it may take some time. She has, however, been exchanging letters with Kian, who is doing well, and Stella, who is leading a revolt against her own family, the Kingdom of Plato. Stella's organization hasn't taken action yet because they're waiting for the proper moment to strike, so she's been working on ways to remove her curse in the meantime. Sylvia then opens a letter from the Crown Prince, who has learned that after she visited her mother in the south, the World Tree Seed was discovered in the same location, which he believes is no coincidence and suspects that she has something to do with it. He is actually right. In fact, she put the adorable pink little seed where the Duchess slept, and the seed rewarded her with endless mana. Our girl will no longer run out of mana. Sylvia then goes to see the Duchess and discovers that her demon cat is still snuggling with her mother in order to absorb the leftover dark energy in her. According to her demon cat, the Duchess was under the influence of dark magic, and they used the Holy Goblet to strengthen its efficacy. However, when the curse was lifted, the energy of the goblet vanished, and now they have no idea where to look for it. Suddenly, her mother speaks up, wanting to warn her, and explains that while she was unconscious, she was continually dreaming of a being she was forced to call Master, and she becomes linked to that person, believing that whoever it is obsessed with Sylvia. Asha senses longing from that person, but she is also certain that this person's objective is to get rid of Sylvia, so she cautions her. Sylvia goes outside to think, but no matter how hard she tries, the lunatic who equally likes and wants to kill her is nowhere to be found in the original Sylvia's memories, leaving her puzzled. The ladies of the house are now at a boutique, but when Duchess Asha and Ailen notice Sylvia taking her time and sipping tea, They rush her as if they're about to go to war. Sylvia is really worn out from all the dress fittings they've done, but her mother won't stop there. They're also going jewelry shopping. Having spent a considerable amount of time shopping, Sylvia collapses into a chair as her mother discusses the importance of looking flawless for the upcoming founding festival, since a woman's wardrobe during parties serves as her armor. Plus, this party would mark her first appearance with her daughters. Her mother then gives her the best smile, since she has always longed to have girly days like this, while Sylvia says they can do this anytime, and the three of them hug. Oh, I can't wait to see them in their outfits! That evening, Sylvia is enjoying her alone time when a mature Thieve approaches her, looking more handsome than ever. He then kneels and shows her a sword, requesting that she make him her knight, which surprises Sylvia given that this act will bond their souls together and permanently tie him to her. Thieve swears to protect Sylvia and promises to devote his life to her, which causes Sylvia to blush and leads her to start knighting him as he recites his vow. Following that, marks on both Sylvia's and Thieve's hand appear as proof that they are now under contract, which makes Thieve very delighted because it means he can easily find her wherever she may be. Meanwhile, Stella's insane mother informs the master that Stella is organizing a revolt, which the man in the robe considers to be excellent news because Stella, their offering, is willing to step within their trap, so he advises her to be patient. Sylvia looks so pretty in her orange dress today as she meets with Kian and Stella. Sylvia congratulates Kian on getting scouted by the magical tower after it was revealed that it was he who foretold Fauble's crimes. After that, they go to the stadium to see Thieve compete in the festival, and Sylvia is head over heels for our guy when he dominates the match with a swoop of his sword. However, the mood shifts abruptly as Stella receives a white flower from one of her soldiers, who is constantly safeguarding her. The Plato Kingdom finds out her revolting plan, and the flower is a sign that she is safe, which Sylvia believes is a good thing, but Stella doubts. While they are aware of Stella's whereabouts and have been spying on her, they have never attacked. Instead, they appear to be waiting for her to approach them. Anyway, Thieve won the game today with no defeats, and the competition is now down to the final round. Sylvia approaches him with flowers in her hand to congratulate him, and the two start blushing at each other, but stop when Thieve's fans crowd them. Our guy here is getting famous! They then conclude their morning festival stroll with Sylvia waving farewell to Kian and Stella, when Kian suddenly begins to get visions of the devil coming to see Sylvia tonight. They are now preparing for the festival's ball, and Sylvia looks so gorgeous in her blue gown that her three siblings begin bickering over who will escort her tonight. Cuties. The powerhouse Atlante siblings show up at the ball, but instead of the usual gushing and happy smiles from the nobility, they give Sylvia the silent treatment, muttering something about how she shouldn't have come because she's a fraud. Sylvia begins to sweat profusely when the impostor appears, addressing the Duke and Duchess as if they were her parents. This is Sylvia's first encounter with the alleged impostor, and she is taken aback by how confident the girl is when Cedric jumps in and uses his sharp tongue to shoo her away. This girl is really up to no good, apologizing to Cedric while calling her brother and introducing herself as Lila. The nobles begin to speculate that this black-haired kid is the rumored daughter of the Atlante family. But this is instantly dispelled when older brother Daniel expresses his distaste for the lady, while Ailen clutches Sylvia. I love these siblings. Lila begins to cry, and the Empress herself appears to console her, apologizing for having failed to reunite with her family due to an impostor. What in the world are you talking about? Now that an adult has caused a fuss, it is time for Sylvia's parents to defend her, and the Duke says that while Sylvia rarely left their mansion when she was a child, she was raised with strict security, so her allegation is nonsense. The Empress, on the other hand, claims Emma, a nanny who worked for the Atlante, switched her own kids to theirs, and the Empress happens to hear this confession while Emma is in the temple before passing away. Like, how suspicious is that? The Empress then suggests that Sylvia and Lila use the temple's magical device to trace their bloodline and determine who the biological daughter is. However, the Duchess steps in and strongly opposes the idea, fearing that it will cause her daughter emotional distress. Yes, the mother is mothering! But Asha is caught off guard when the Empress uses her years of slumber to question whether she knows who her actual daughter is, making Asha enraged. But she is stopped when the Duke agrees to go to the temple. You better have a plan, Father. The Duchess insists that Sylvia is her daughter, but they all know that if they continue to oppose the Empress, they would be executed. So Sylvia stops her mother, and as a result, Lila now resides in the Atlante mansion. Lila keeps smiling at Sylvia, forcing our girl to lose her cool and brand her a fraud. But Lila returns her remarks and asks Sylvia if she's absolutely sure she's the real Sylvia, as if she knows she had a soul transmigration. However, their argument is cut short as Vente arrives to accompany Sylvia to her father. The Duke tells Sylvia to get ready to go to the temple, and as he's explaining the procedure, Sylvia's mind goes to the thought that the Duke may never have seen Sylvia as a daughter because he wants to proceed with the bloodline check in a hurry. The Duke took care of Sylvia from the moment she was born, so she instinctively concludes that he must not have loved her at all. Her grim feelings are swiftly negated when she hears the Duke mention his plan of keeping the enemy close, and tells her that he is confident she is his daughter and merely wants this to end fast so he can punish Lila and even the Empress. Finally, the Duke explains his intent, blushingly revealing that the Duchess scolded him for not being more communicative, making Sylvia chuckle in relief. Sylvia then intends to sabotage whatever Lila is planning, so she meets with Ken and requests that he investigate whatever detail he can uncover about Lila. Sylvia wakes up looking like a princess straight out of a fairy tale. But hold the trumpets, today isn't exactly her royal morning, as Belle rolls in looking super stressed, saying she'll get the water ready for her face wash. Sylvia is perplexed because Hannah is supposed to be the one to do this. So after Belle explains everything, she storms into Lila's room and demands to know why Hannah is washing Lila's feet with her face water. When Hannah happily explains that she will serve Lila, Sylvia can instantly sense that Lila has brainwashed her maid. Sylvia is totally fed up, so she gives this witch a heads up that she's got a reputation for being the ugly duckling who's really harsh on anyone who tries to cross her. Now that's more like it! Sylvia swears with a cold and annoyed voice that she will make Lila stay a living hell if she continues to touch what belongs to her. However, Lila seems unfazed by this and playfully grabs Sylvia's face, reminding her that no matter how beautiful she becomes, she'll always look like an outsider. Lila gets into Sylvia's head by showing her the Atlante family picture, pointing out that she looks more like the Duke than Sylvia does. As she reflects on it, she realizes she's the only one with brown hair, while Lila's black hair seems to blend in better with the family. But just as Sylvia starts to feel more insecure, Sylphide arrives to pull her back from her hypnotized state and push Lila away. Sylvia is now panting after inhaling so much of the hypnotizing spell, while Sylphide can tell that Lila has used black magic. But do you know what this imposter does? She just gives a little smirk at our Spirit King as she calls out his name. Wait, how did she find out who he is? Hypnotizing magic has long been forbidden since it's considered one of the evil forms of black magic. It has the potential to manipulate individuals so deeply that they might even be willing to sacrifice themselves for the one casting the spell. It's unfortunate that Sylphide didn't manage to take care of the imposter, but Sylvia's recovery is the most important thing right now. He gently carries her to her room and shares that not only Hannah, but all the other servants in the manor are affected by Lila's black magic. Sylvia didn't notice it because Lila has been using her magic in small doses to gradually influence the servants. But there's no need to worry, as Sylphide can remove the black magic from Sylvia's and the servants' bodies. Sylvia's condition seems to be worsening, as if something heavy is inside her. Sylphide explains that he can simply use his wind to expel the black magic, which she interprets as a kind of mouth-to-mouth respiration. Sylphide is blushing a lot and quickly wants to explain that it's not like that. But he pauses, thinking that being a little selfish just this once might be okay. As Sylvia closes her eyes, he leans closer, holding her chin while our girl clenches her fist, trying to push away any strange thoughts. To her surprise, Sylphide just covers her mouth and awkwardly laughs, explaining that they don't need to do the CPR thing for his wind power to work. Aw, he's such a good boy for being so respectful. He quickly purifies her and walks away, saying that he will go treat the servants now, just to avoid Sylvia seeing him blush. I never thought I'd ever like a yellow boy, but I'm totally down for this cutie Sylphide. All the knights are feeling quite worn out from their practice, and the heat isn't making things any easier. Lila sees this as a perfect opportunity and arrives with a water pitcher filled with fruits for them. But little do they know, it's actually laced with black magic. The knights are feeling hesitant about taking water from a witch like her, but since they're all thirsty, they decide to gulp down the refreshing drink, which instantly makes them fall head over heels for Lila. One knight appears, criticizing them for speaking with Lila, and he quickly asks her to leave because she is not permitted to be on the training ground since she's not a member of House Atlante. This knight deserves a raise. However, the knights who have already drunk the water look at him as if he's done something wrong, even claiming that Lila is a member of the House Atlante, making this imposter smile triumphantly. Her next target is Thieve, who's sitting in the corner, sweating from the heat and showing off those great abs to us. Lila playfully suggests that he must be finding it tough here, especially since, with his talent, he could have been something as prestigious as an Imperial Knight. She then calls him a poor little bird to empathize with him, but suddenly our guy just throws the glass of water near her and it scratches the side of her face. He totally throws out a sarcastic, "Sorry," claiming he didn't even notice her and just thought it was some annoying rat squeaking nearby. Yes! Love how he totally brought my thoughts to life! Slay! Wait, Thieve is not done roasting her, calling her a dirty cockroach and saying they need to disinfect the whole estate because of her. Mic drop! After that, he uses his commanding voice to announce that their break is over, bringing those under Lila's spell back to normal, which makes the cockroach really mad. Sylphide feels a sense of relief as he watches this unfold and gives a compliment to Thieve, noting that the small amounts of hypnotizing magic can be dispelled by faith, and his positive energy is effectively countering the black magic. This is also true for Sylvia's family and friends, who are unaffected by Lila's magic due to their strong bond. He can feel that Thieve is loyal, trusts, and loves Sylvia, which makes him a bit jealous. Even though their statuses are different, Thieve is human, giving him a chance with Sylvia, unlike himself, a spirit. Sylphide begins to mumble that no matter how hard he tries or how long he waits, he feels he will never get to have her. What does this mean? He tries to tell himself that he just wants Sylvia to be happy and that she doesn't need to know how he feels while he holds his broken heart and breaks down. This poor Spirit King knows he has no chance. Lila is now standing in front of the Empress, who is quite upset that she couldn't hypnotize anyone from the Atlante family and even got bitten by Thieve, whom she refers to as Sylvia's dog. Lila was sent to the House Atlante to create an issue between Sylvia and her family. But now the Empress considers Lila to be a puppet with little use for their master. It looks like the Empress might just be a pawn in the game of this so-called master. Lila expresses that if she could use a stronger dose of the hypnotizing magic, she believes everyone would be under her control by now. The Empress sees this as a good point and happily gives Lila the go-ahead to fully use her powers with their master's approval. The Empress brings up the Crown Prince's name, and since he has a close connection with Sylvia, she orders Lila to hypnotize him to kill Sylvia, kind of like solving two problems at once. The Empress's evil little son seems really pleased with her plan, while Lila feels frustrated about being treated like a servant. As she strolls down the corridor, she unexpectedly encounters the Crown Prince Kenneth, who gazes at her with a cold expression. However, she sees this as the perfect opportunity to put him under her control. Kenneth understands that this witch seems to be up to something evil with the Empress, so he decides to watch her closely. To his surprise, Lila, in her disgusting way, suggests that he wants to keep an eye on her because she resembles Sylvia. She gently caresses his face, attempting to charm him while making Sylvia appear bad by saying that she has been flirting with every man she encounters. Say that again to yourself, girl! With her hypnotic powers, she tells Kenneth that Sylvia will never love him, but he doesn't have to be sad because he can have her, someone who treats him better. Kenneth simply smirks, realizing Lila has been trying to use hypnotizing magic on him, prompting him to grab her by the neck. So after all the Empress's poisonings, assassinations, and attempts to take him out with black magic, Kenneth has built up an immunity to it, and Lila is just shook while she's struggling in his grip. Kenneth then warns her that if she touches Sylvia, he will rip her mouth off. Using black magic on an Imperial member should be enough to kill this chick, right? That same evening, Ken meets up with Sylvia at the Atlante estate to give her the information she requested. After looking into things and chatting with some witnesses, it seems that Lila's claims about her birth are indeed true. However, this made Ken uneasy, as it felt like people were simply waiting to testify against anyone who attempted to investigate Lila's past. So he decided to conduct an investigation himself and traveled to Emma's hometown, the nanny mentioned by the Empress as having switched the babies. To his surprise, he discovered her coffin was filled with nothing but rocks. Sylvia is becoming increasingly concerned as the situation becomes more complicated. Ken promises to look deeper and provide her with additional information, But their chat ends when Lila returns from the Imperial Palace. Ken hastily puts on his hood, but when Lila walks past him, the scent of her hair reminds him of someone, prompting him to name her Lily. This surprises Lila, and as she looks back, she recognizes Ken and runs away. Sylvia feels confused right now, so Ken proceeds to explain that he received his education at a special institute that accepted talented orphans and was run by Alam. Lily was already there when he came, and he noticed how devoted the girl was to Alam. Alam gave her special treatment, such as special studies, but she vanished one day, alleging that she had already been adopted by someone. Ken is certain that Lila is Lily because she always exudes that distinct aroma, and he recalls Lily once saying that it wasn't perfume, but a gift Alam gave her as she held her glowing tummy. Sylvia is totally shook that Alam, the head of the magic tower, is mixed up in this, while Ken switches things up and decides to dig into Alam and Lily. No way are they suggesting Alam is the master of the cults! Lila slams the door behind her, feeling anxious about Ken's activities at the Atlante Manor. A wave of anxiety sweeps through her, fearing that she will be abandoned if her actions cause her master's grand plan to fail. Determined to prevent that outcome, she resolves to enchant everyone at the Atlante estate and persuade them to turn against Sylvia. To achieve this, she must insert more mana stones into her body, fully aware that the black magic will ultimately consume and destroy her. Still, she believes it is preferable to die as her master's tool. So she was experimented on! Honestly, it's kinda sad for those who just want love but get used and turned into evil instead. She then quickly inserts the mana stone into her stomach and starts to feel its effects just as Hannah walks into her room, catching sight of her belly in that state, shocking the poor maid. Lila swiftly reacts, causing Hannah to collapse onto the floor, and blood spills out immediately. In a moment of panic, Lila laughs while considering her next move. She hurriedly drags Hannah's body, reassuring herself that everything will be alright as long as she cleans up her mess. My gosh, this girl is helpless and a complete psycho! Meanwhile, Sylvia goes out of her room, struggling to fall asleep. In the hallway, she spots Lila, who's all soaked, which makes Sylvia curious about what she's up to at this late hour. Surprised, Lila trembles as she tries to convince Sylvia that she was merely out for a walk. In her rush, she shoves Sylvia aside to get past her, leaving Sylvia confused, especially when she notices that Lila's clothes are all dirty and that she's holding a shovel. Just then, Sylvia catches the maids chatting about Hannah's whereabouts and discovers that Hannah had gone to get Lila's bath ready earlier. However, with morning approaching and Hannah still not back in her bed, they start to feel a bit concerned. After that, Sylvia feels a surge of panic that makes her pause for a moment, and at that instant, Sylphide appears before her, encouraging her to stay calm as he shares the truth about Hannah, surprising Sylvia. The following day, as Lila walks down the hallway, Sylvia suddenly crashes her face down and warns her that if Hannah dies, she will kill her in the same manner and make her suffer 100 times more than Hannah did. What the heck? So this witch buried Hannah alive? In the meantime, two maids are chatting about the rumors of the high priest who passed away last night. It seems he touches holy water during the service but ends up burning his hands, and he experiences convulsions when he steps into the sanctum. The temple secretly performed exorcism and purification rituals on him, yet he suddenly died last night. One maid is curious about how they'll determine if Sylvia is really the Duke's daughter, especially now that the high priest is no longer alive. This prompts the other maid to explain that the temple will hold the high priest's funeral and will proceed with the process of selecting his replacement, meaning this matter will be postponed for now. To complicate things further, they have heard that the candidate for the high priest position has close ties to the Empress, which leads them to speculate about Sylvia's future. While Sylvia sits alone in the garden, quietly crying her frustrations away, the demon cat sees her and swiftly asks if she's fine. He then comforts her, assuring her that things will get better, so she shouldn't be depressed. She then confides in him that none of this occurred in Sylvia's original life. Everything began once she transmigrated into her body. Since then, innocent people around her have suffered because of her, leaving her feeling troubled and guilty. This causes the demon cat to pause for a while because Sylvia reminds him of her. Suddenly, Sylvia believes she still has the power to take action, which causes the demon cat to flinch. She expresses that whenever these events happen, she feels an urge to destroy everyone involved. However, the demon cat cautions her that there are rules in her society, and if she reacts harshly, it will only bring her temporary relief. For a demon, this little furball is shockingly well-mannered. He then explains that in this society, defeating opponents can only be achieved through the use of solid evidence, which makes Sylvia chuckle, realizing that the demon cat is actually making a lot of sense. He then suggests forgetting about her previous life and starts making more logical decisions. However, Sylvia cries, expressing her fear that she might be ruining everything in that world, just in time for Thieve to appear, looking concerned as he sees her in tears. Her emotional support has finally arrived. Thieve is taken aback when Sylvia rests her head on his chest. Even though he feels a bit nervous, he chooses to embrace her and gently pat her back, reassuring her that she can share whatever is bothering her. She bursts into tears, expressing how her actions are hurting everyone around her, including him. She worries that he must be feeling a lot of resentment towards her, so she keeps apologizing for always putting him in danger. He strongly denies this, saying that these thoughts have never crossed his mind, before admitting that he likes her, which surprises our girl. He mentions that he really likes how her smile shines like the sun, how she always expresses her true feelings, and how she prioritizes her loved ones. He is pretty sure everyone feels the same way about her. No, why did you have to mess up your confession, sir? He hits her with that adorable smile, but thank goodness our sweet girl isn't about to let the convo end there. So she blushes and boldly asks if he likes her like everyone else does. Thieve's heart goes ba-dump, ba-dump, and he starts blushing too. This time, he gets more honest, sharing that his feelings are different, and then leans in to kiss her. It took a while, but our lovebirds finally shared a sweet kiss. Just then, Cedric shows up, saying their mom is really worried about her and that he's come to take her inside. He sees her red face and starts to worry that she might be catching a cold, which makes our naughty girl dash back to her room. This really confuses him, while the demon cat gives him a whack on the head. That slap was so personal. This cat totally got how we felt about the ruined moment. Today, the Empress invites everyone to the temple to share some exciting news. She'll be leading a special ritual aimed at banishing any bad luck, and it involves taking down a gigantic, strange-looking demon. Thieve then arrives in full armor, as it seems the Empress personally selected him for the important task of defeating the demon. At this point, we all know something fishy is about to happen, because see, the guards are instructed by the Empress to activate the magic tool within the demon once it comes close to Thieve's head. Sylvia hears the evil plan thanks to Sylphide's eavesdropping ability, so as soon as the demon is released, Sylphide communicates with Thieve mentally, assuring him that he has orders from Sylvia and that he has to follow them. As our leads are occupied, the Empress playfully mocks Lila since their master has instructed her to handle Sylvia from now on. This implies that Lila is being set aside, leaving the girl looking so horrified. Back to the duel, Thieve starts striking his sword on the ground, and the nobles begin to boo him for not taking action against the demon. As the terrifying demon opens its mouth to devour Thieve, signaling the guard to activate the magic tool, Sylvia swiftly takes actions to destroy it and orders Thieve to make their final move. All that hitting the ground has a purpose, and when Thieve puts all his strength into hitting the ground, it cracks, leading the demon right into the trap. After that, he quickly slices off the demon's head. Everyone starts cheering, but oh no! The demon's head is trying to connect back to its body, using the Empress's sun as its core power. Lila's totally got the little prince on a leash, making that demon do whatever she wants. Oh my, the Empress keeps throwing shade at Lila, and now it's totally backfiring on her. Lila is totally losing it, trembling and convinced her master is about to abandon her. So she is thinking it's better to just take out everyone, especially Sylvia. Lila commands the demon to kill Sylvia, but it all comes to an end when her own beloved master stabs her in the heart and calls her useless. She falls to the ground crying, and when she pulls her master's robe, it slips, showing Alam. I knew he was the mastermind all along. This creepy old man approaches Sylvia and caresses her face, stating he misses her before smirking and saying that they leave the place together. Ailen takes Sylvia to another dimension, welcoming her with a loving smile and expressing how much he misses her, while our girl is just so confused. He informs her that he's always looking out for her, so when he saw that she kissed Thieve that night, he got so upset, which led him to order the Empress to take action against Thieve. He then gently holds her chin, assuring her that once Thieve is out of the picture, her infatuation with him will fade away. He keeps switching from an old dude to a teen to a little kid, and it's seriously giving me the creeps. Sylvia slaps Alam's hand away, as she cannot understand what he's talking about, and she demands an explanation of what is going on. This leads Alam to forcefully hold her hand as he explains that he has existed since the world was first created. In the beginning, the world was a place without rules or order, and humans were considered foolish, as Alam put it, while demons followed their instincts and spirits held themselves in high regard. Alam appeared to be extraordinary, as he had godly powers that set him apart from others. He felt that the special treatment he received from God was a sign that he was the chosen one. One day, a star fell from the sky, and it turned out to be a girl in a hospital gown. Alam felt a little uneasy as he sensed that her power was stronger than his. The girl was in a panic, calling out for her mom, so Alam stepped in to chat with her. He discovered that she was from another world and was dealing with a terminal illness. After talking with him, she realized that she had passed away, but seeing Alam's angelic face brought a smile to her, leading her to think she must be in heaven now, which left the once cautious guy feeling a bit confused. Did he actually fall for her with that pickup line? Sylvia has no time to hear about Alam's past and only wants to know why he kidnapped her, leading this creep to declare that the lady he was describing was her. She comes from a different world and once led the Empire, while he was the one who lovingly bestowed upon her the name Sylvia. She, in fact, is from another world, but from what she understands, she transmigrated into Sylvia's body after her birthday, which Alam confirms. But what he's trying to tell her is about how she first arrived in this world. I suspected that Sylvia was the reincarnation of the first Empress. Alam and Sylphide knew, but now I see that it was really her? This means she's been in and out of this fantasy world for centuries. Anyway, Alam goes on with his story and shares that when Sylvia first arrived in this world, she took in all the light around her, giving her beautiful blue eyes and increasing her energy. He felt upset about how she seemed to be favored by the gods, but when he discovered that she still had her memories yet couldn't remember her name, he offered her some comforting words, suggesting that maybe the gods wanted her to embrace a fresh start. He intended to keep a watch on her and kill her before she realized her powers, so he gave her the name Sylvia and offered to help her adjust to her new home. As time went by, Sylvia gained control over her powers and began to assist others with the knowledge she had from her past life, which really disgusted Alam. One great example is when she created a fire magic stone in a lamp that helped everyone during winter and kept the demons away, which made them all adore her. This is old news, but I'll say it again. Our girl is breathtakingly gorgeous! One day, Sylvia expressed her gratitude to Alam for assisting her in creating the magic tower, even though he thought it was unnecessary since he knew she could have built it on her own with ease. He was all like, I hate her, but honestly, what he really couldn't stand was her kindness and how she kept smiling at everyone. All he wanted was for her to be that way only to him. Sylvia dashed over to Ailen with excitement, eager to share that she had formed a contract with the Spirit King Sylphide. So, it turns out that Sylphide's master has always been Sylvia, huh? My ship! Ailen shouted at Sylvia, saying they don't need the Spirit King, forcing her to explain that their attempts to make the world livable are causing the population to grow, requiring more land area. However, she cannot take out the demons on her own, which is why she needed Sylphide's assistance, as she aims to create a paradise where everyone may be happy. Ailen simply scoffed at her dream and claimed that helping others was a waste of time before walking away, while Sylphide could see Ailen was a very selfish person. You know what Ailen really detested the most? Sylphide will always be by Sylvia's side from the moment she wakes up each day. Sylphide was continually amazed by Sylvia, just like today when she whipped up some delicious Eggs Benedict and fresh apple juice. For a long time, he believed that humans should only eat things raw, which prompted her to share what cooking was all about and how it could bring joy when enjoyed with loved ones. She then asked him to change into his human form so he could give it a try, and it truly didn't disappoint because just look at his adorable face lighting up at how delicious it was. Sylvia flashed a charming smile, delighted that Sylphide liked her food, and they decided to eat together from now on. Ailen saw how the two were getting closer by the day, and he was persuaded that Sylphide's claim that he wanted to help humans was merely an excuse and that he only wanted to feed off Sylvia's mana. Sylvia had always been on Ailen's side until Sylphide arrived, and he found himself blaming Sylphide for their lack of time together. Seeing Sylphide flash that cute smile at Sylvia just made Ailen want to claim her, and honestly, he was so ready to take Sylphide out. So he's that obsessive type with a nasty ego and attitude, just refusing to be real and show his true feelings for Sylvia. And let me guess, he will be furious when Sylvia does not love him back. One day, Sylphide went back to the spirit realm because he had responsibilities as the Spirit King, leaving just Ailen and Sylvia in the garden together. She made him a coffee, and when he found out it was her first time making it and that she wanted to share it with him, he felt so happy and blushed. That day felt so magical for him, and it was then that he understood that everything, from the table and cup to the grass, flowers, and trees, was created by him and Sylvia. Initially, he didn't quite grasp why she dedicated so much energy to improving the world, but now he realized that the world had become like their child, and in that sense, he understood her feelings. During this time, he thought it would be a great idea for them to rule over the world. He assembled the humans and said that he wanted to build a kingdom. Because their foundation was shaky, he proposed there should be someone to teach them the difference between right and wrong. In this era, there were already groups of humans who would deceive others into worshipping demon corpses, greedy individuals who would steal, humans who were blinded by anger, and a variety of other terrible things. So this will only worsen if humans are not controlled. Ailen announced his intention to create laws and establish a kingdom with a ruler, but many opposed his plan, fearing it would result in dictatorship. Ailen got extremely frustrated because he realized that their opposition stems from their fear of him becoming the ruler. But with this guy's big ego? In your dreams, guys! He never wanted to rule over foolish humans because the person he envisioned as the first ruler is Sylvia, the mother of the world. He felt like killing everyone after what happened, but he composed himself after Sylvia said she loved his plan and would be happy to back it, which made him so happy that she understood him. As he knelt down, he shared that he never quite understood why the gods sent her, considering he was perfect already. Wow, so humble, I might fall in love. But now, he realized she was sent by God to be with him, so he confessed his love for her and asked her to marry him. Sir, being Delulu is never the Solulu. Sylvia flushed in surprise at Ailen's confession and took a moment to collect her thoughts before telling him she had no idea he saw her in that way. Calmly, she expressed that she was pleased and honored by his feelings, which made Ailen even more excited. However, he hesitated when she clarified that, although she likes him, her feelings differ because she values him as a friend and a brother, emphasizing that she doesn't see him in a romantic way. Ailen was so shocked that he dropped to the ground, questioning her feelings for him. In frustration, he asked her what he could do to make her feel the same way and to have her by his side, expressing how much he needed her in this life. Sylvia then sat next to him and shared that loving someone is all about cherishing and taking care of them. Otherwise, his greed and obsession will just end up hurting the person he loves. She also believed that her unintentional actions had allowed him to slowly open his heart to her, as love is meant to develop naturally. This made Ailen smile as he considered creating a natural situation that would encourage her to love him back. After that, Sylvia ascended to the role of Empress, and the people warmly embraced her leadership. One night, Sylvia told Sylphide that Ailen was the reason they'd come that far, and all she had done was sit on the throne Ailen built and watch over the people. Suddenly, Sylvia blushed as she witnessed a man proposing, captivated by the beauty of the moment, while Sylphide claimed that the more he observes humans, the more he finds intriguing and puzzling aspects about them. This prompted Sylvia to express that humans are driven by the emotion known as love, and while it may seem impossible, she wished he could experience what it feels like to be in love, making our yellow boy smile and blush as he already knew what it feels like after meeting her. Sylphide then shared that the woman they are watching is soon to become a mother, which caused Sylvia to cry and surprise Sylphide. She swiftly apologized, explaining that seeing the couple made her think of her mother, revealing that in her previous life, she battled a sickness, and her mother cared for her day and night. She missed her mother so badly that she cried endlessly, which Ailen witnessed. Ailen smiled wickedly, believing that he could use her weakness to his advantage in order for him to win her heart. He's a real nutcase! That day, Ailen crossed the demon border and quickly greeted the Demon King before claiming he had a proposal, which piqued the Demon King's interest. Ailen then informed him that he was aware he's monitoring the demons to prevent them from crossing the border. At this point, the Demon King is more humane than Alam. However, he struggled to determine whether he'd been acting for the benefit of humans or merely asserting his dominance over the demons through his power. Ailen played with the Demon King's mind, saying that there is a more effective way for the Demon King to showcase his authority, and he swiftly suggested that the Demon King create a goblet symbolizing his greatness that would also serve as a vessel for his power. The goblet could be placed in a high position for all demons to see, and Ailen assured him that this would lead to even greater reverence from his subordinates. Following that, the Demon King smiled, believing Ailen's proposal was quite good. Soon after, Ailen was surprised by the sight of the goblet bearing the Demon King's power. The Demon King then revealed that all demons who have seen the goblet now treat him with more respect, and no demon dared to defy him. In return, the Demon King believed it was only fair to repay Ailen for his assistance, so he happily declared that he would grant him a wish. However, Ailen claimed that he doesn't deserve to be rewarded for the idea because it originated from Sylvia, the ruler of mankind. So he thought it's only right that the Demon King will grant Sylvia her wish instead. That night, as Sylvia relaxed on the couch, Ailen showed up with a big smile, excitedly sharing that he can help her see her family again. With a mere flick of his fingers, Sylvia unexpectedly found herself beyond the human boundary. Upon seeing her, the Demon King swiftly approached and touched her head, instantly recognizing that she was from another dimension. He then noticed an older woman whom he assumed to be her mother, causing Sylvia to tremble. The Demon King explained that he could use his powers to help her return to her original world, outlining each step of the process. However, both of them froze when they heard a strange sound and were shocked to see Ailen perched atop a pillar, holding the goblet, which infuriated the Demon King. Ailen simply laughed as he took in the Demon King's power, confidently declaring that with the goblet, he can now win Sylvia's love. Ailen is ew, and the Demon King is an idiot. It seems we've all figured out that Ailen was the one who took the Demon King's goblet, but he doesn't seem to feel any remorse at all. In fact, he just enjoys how beautiful she looks when she's upset. He goes on with his story and shares that, thanks to the goblet, he was able to end her contract with Sylphide and send him back to the spirit world. After that, he destroyed the whole world, leaving only him and Sylvia, which made him feel sure that she would now love and rely on him. But to his disappointment, she only despised him. It's wild to think he actually believed she'd loved him after everything that went down. He thought of a new plan to help Sylvia love him more naturally, and with the goblet, he set her on an endless journey of rebirth. When Sylvia got reborn as Sylvia Atlante, Ailen realized that she probably wouldn't love him in normal circumstances, so he made sure to observe every little detail. He totally manipulated her siblings to keep them away from her and turned her dad and everyone else against her to the point where she just couldn't handle it anymore. Remember those times when she just stuffed her face with food because of stress and ended up getting really big? Ailen's out here flexing, saying it was all part of his plan to turn her into an ugly duckling. All this harassment just to get her to love him naturally. When no one showed her love, he saw his chance to swoop in like a total hero. So he went up to her and dropped some super cheesy lines. But Sylvia just thought he was messing with her and called him a con man, leaving him totally shocked. Well, that was a real facepalm moment. Serves him right. This unhinged, stupid mage couldn't understand why Sylvia wasn't falling for him, and he concluded that his plan was so perfect that it must have made her walls even higher. He believed she couldn't open her heart to him because she felt unattractive and had an inferiority complex, so he played with time again, as if it were a game he could just restart. This time, he made Sylvia forget her real past and made her believe that she had consumed poison, offered her as a sacrifice to the devil, and made a deal with the Demon King to return to her past. Ailen was obviously using the goblet a bit too much, but this obsessed guy was convinced that the third time's a charm, so he was hopeful they would finally fall in love in this timeline. He changed his plan and hurt her in a different way, so he helped her build a loving relationship with her family and allow her to receive love from everyone so that he could ruin it all by using Lila. But it didn't work out. It's funny how he has all these powers and still manages to flop every single time. He grabs her wrist and smashes her against the wall, swearing not to force her because she taught him that love should come naturally. Oh, yeah? So that's why you had her reincarnate so many times, you crazy dumb yandere jerk? Sylvia just hurls some spit at his face and calls him crazy, and that's when he gets it. This plan totally flopped too. His body is already crumbling, and he can't bear the thought of her being happy without him. So with the last bit of his strength, he decides that they should die together. Sylvia is surprised that Alam is jumping to such extreme conclusions, and she angrily points out that what he's doing isn't love, but rather a sick obsession, which Alam seems to not care about. He uses the goblet, causing his body and the entire dimension to crumble, while Sylvia also feels the pain as her body begins to crack too. Out of nowhere, Thieve crashes through the dimension, all bloodied up, ready to save his girl. He rushes over to hug Sylvia, and noticing her fragile state, he instantly heals her to prevent her from breaking apart. His accomplishment truly surprises her, and she realizes that he has now become a swordmaster. He tells her that it's not just him. Her entire family and friends played a part in opening the portal. Since he's the only one with the mark that connects to her, he was the only one who made it across the dimension. Even though it hurt like hell, he was prepared to die for her, and maybe that's why he rose to swordmaster level. Listening to them makes Alam feel disgusted, so he grabs Thieve and tells him that he doesn't deserve to be with Sylvia. He asserts that no one can love Sylvia as much as he does, because he was the one who destroyed the entire world and changed the course of time in order to make a new one for her. He has gone insane, screaming that he's the only person who deserves Sylvia's love because he's been with her since the beginning, not Thieve, whom he regards as nothing more than a nuisance of their relationship. Thieve responds by stating that Sylvia does not have to love him back. In fact, he doesn't care if they become strangers as long as she continues to be happy and healthy. This is the love that he has for her, and this heartfelt sentiment really moves our girl, which makes her cry. However, Alam dislikes how Thieve is lecturing him right now, so he ensures that Sylvia is chained before choking Thieve and absorbing his power to help restore his weakening body. Sylvia sees the struggling Thieve waving his hand and turns to discover that his blade is opening a crack in the dimension. So she takes advantage of the chance to call Sylphide, who straight up punches Alam in the face. Let's freaking go! Sylphide smacks his foot into Alam's face, and Alam just claps back, roasting him for being in love with Sylvia even though he knows he can't be with a human. Alam laughs at Sylvia's confusion, noting that Sylphide has yet to confess his love, which irritates Sylphide, and tells him that it is better to be a fool than a sick, obsessed maniac like him. Alam uses the goblet to snag the red string linking Sylvia and Sylphide's souls. This is a thread that Sylphide keeps connected to Sylvia so she can summon him whenever, but if it gets cut, he will never be reunited with her in any timeline. Alam crushes the thread, causing pain for both Sylvia and Sylphide. But the real concern is that our yellow boy begins to vanish and may never return to the human worlds. Sylvia is still suffering over the loss of her friend, but for someone who claims to love her, Alam isn't done yet, and this time he grabs Thieve and takes all of his power, instantly killing our lad. This son of a witch just killed my two best boys? Is this even allowed? Sylvia cries, but with those shackles around her neck, all she can do is fall to her knees, while Alam continues to tell her that she should just accept his feelings. Knowing our girl, she cannot let this be the end. And look at her stand her ground, informing Ailen that she has contracts with more than just Sylphide. The dimension rips up, and dummy, what took you so long? The Demon King has finally arrived! It took him some time to get in since this nasty old man jacked his powers, but now it's time to reclaim what's rightfully his. Once the Demon King grabs his power goblet, he just flings Ailen away and stomps on his shoulder, shattering it like glass. However, before the Demon King can totally slay Ailen, Sylvia calls him, claiming that now that she has fulfilled his wish of retrieving his goblet, he should also grant her wish. The Demon King is fine with it, so he first removes the chains that bind her and asks what she wants. Sylvia demands that her memories be restored and the power she was granted by God be returned so she can take out Ailen herself. Which is honestly just a walk in the park for the Demon King. Out of nowhere, a glow wraps around Sylvia, and her eyes change to this amazing mix of brown and blue, while the falling apart Ailen is just there, crying and shouting her name. Now that her powers are back, she's ready to take down this fussy old hag, and Ailen is freaking out, begging her to let someone else do the job, just not her. It's satisfying to know that he was physically and emotionally killed. But who said this was the end? Of course, the Demon King wants his revenge too, so while they're in the underworld, he requests Sylvia for advice on how to punish Alam. Sylvia thinks that there's not enough punishment for Alam's years of hurting her and her family and destroying the world. But if she has to choose, she wants him to suffer the pain of those he killed and relive his worst memories forever. With this, he'll be bound in unending hellish misery unless he reflects on his actions and repents, which the Demon King doubts, meaning he will be trapped forever. After that, the Demon King casts Alam into the depths of the Dark Hell prison, where he will endure the anguish of all those he has wronged, all the while continuing to yell out Sylvia's name. To a narcissist, that is the finest punishment they could give, so I give it a perfect score. Now that they have sent Alam to hell, Sylvia quickly rushes to embrace the cold body of Thieve, but the Demon King reassures her, revealing that there might be a way to bring Thieve back. She needs to go to the afterlife and rescue him. It appears that Thieve is not totally dead, and because he was wounded by the goblet, traces of the Demon King's power linger in his soul. Sylvia can simply follow the traces, and because Alam infused the power of the goblet within her, she now has the ability to travel through time and space. The catch is that Thieve is in the Netherworld, and no human has ever returned alive from there, so the Demon King gives her the option to back out now if she's not willing to risk her own life. Duh, the answer is clear. Of course our girl is unfazed about it and simply wants to save her lover. The Demon King smiles proudly at her before sending her to the horrifying Netherworld, where disgusting-looking monsters begin to swarm around her. They begin grabbing her, causing her to receive numerous scratches on her body and face. But this doesn't concern her at all. She uses her power and insists they move, but this only causes the devils to howl at her. Meanwhile, Thieve, who now looks like a kid, is walking in a river and admiring the gorgeous scenery. He has no idea where he's heading, but something inside tells him he has left something or someone important behind. As he is about to dive into the waters, he hears someone yelling his name, and it is our poor girl who is currently looking so messy and bloody. She quickly hugs him, which confuses him until he understands who she is and wakes up. He then hugs her while crying, knowing that she saved him, and she reminds him that they swore to be together forever, making the Demon King feel so single. Kidding. Amazed that these lovebirds' love for one another overcame death itself. Sylvia breaks the hug as she discovers the contract she made with Sylphide isn't totally over, because she can still feel his presence. This amazes the Demon King because most people are incapable of sensing such small amounts of energy. But our girl isn't your average human. He explains that while the red thread of fate can be severed, it does not fully disappear, so he resolves to fix it. With this, their red string will never break again, and our handsome yellow spirit king appears and quickly embraces Sylvia. These two are literal soulmates. Both of them cry, and as she thanks him for always being by her side and creating a contract with her, he is surprised to see that her memories have returned. He wipes away her tears, allowing him to finally tell her how much he misses her, while she takes the opportunity to question whether Alam's claim that he loves her is true. This causes Sylphide to go silent before covering her ears so she cannot hear him confess that when he met her, he began to hate the fact that he's not a human, since no matter how near she is, he will never be able to be with her. He felt hurt when she fell in love with Thieve, but it doesn't matter anymore because watching her smile is enough for him. He doesn't need them to go any closer than they already are, and as he cracks that bittersweet smile at her, he says the three words he's been holding back for centuries. He loves her. Sylvia doesn't hear anything, so she asks him to repeat it, prompting Sylphide to beam and tell her that he only loves her as a friend, nothing more. Sylphide then proposes they return home, which makes Sylvia very happy, unaware that this poor boy who turns away is bawling his heart out. Oh, my dear Sylphide, this is so heartbreaking. The Demon King feels bad for Sylphide and is relieved that Thieve cannot see or hear the Spirit King's confession. But joke's on you, mister. Thieve can now see him because he's a sword master. However, Thieve states that Sylphide has been protecting Sylvia, thus he sees no cause to feel jealous. If anything, he regrets Sylphide's inability to express his feelings to Sylvia. He's a mature good boy. This sassy Demon King is quite sweet, especially when you see him trying to comfort the heartbroken Sylphide. Sylphide feels no regrets because with Sylvia, his once dull life has transformed into a vibrant and meaningful journey. All of a sudden, he has a light bulb moment, thinking that since they're in a dimension where time and space are distorted, maybe they can help Sylvia see her mom. This is the only chance they can do this, and the Demon King agrees. So Sylphide grabs Sylvia's hand and informs her of their plan, shocking her. He then alters her outfit into a cute one so she looks her best when she meets her mother, while the Demon King opens a doorway and tells her to make the most of it because she only has a little time. When Sylvia opens her eyes, she discovers she's back in the modern world, particularly her hospital room. Suddenly, the door opens, revealing her mother, but Sylvia appears different right now, so she is unsure how to explain that she is her daughter. But to her amazement, her mom gives her a big smile and calls her her beautiful sweetheart. Sylvia begins crying because her mom recognizes her, which makes her mother laugh because no mother would fail to recognize her own daughter. Sylvia then realizes that Sylphide and the Demon King helped her reunite with her mom in her dream, which makes her start to break down as she tells her mom how much she misses her. She felt so scared that she was beginning to forget her face, voice, and touch. Sylvia also takes the chance to apologize for being sick and causing her mom so much trouble, while her mom reassures her not to worry about it. Even though Sylvia is losing her memories about her, she says it's all right because she remembers everything from the moment she was born until now. Sylvia's time with her mom is drawing to a close, and as she starts to fade, her mom takes a moment to express her heartfelt wishes for Sylvia's happiness, health, and enjoyment of life, no matter where she may be. Her mom is in tears, but she ensures that their final moment together is filled with her smile. She expresses her regret for not being able to bring her into the world as a healthy child, and she expresses just how deeply she loves her. Her mom's words hit different, like, "I'm actually crying. I wasn't ready for this, but I guess I'm happy they both found their closure." Now back to Sylvia's new home, the Crown Prince has declared that the curse of black magic has ended. After Ailen was killed, all of his followers who shared his powers turned to ashes, including the Empress. He also announces the hero who crushed the cursed mage, and he first calls Thieve to bestow wealth and the rank of Imperial Knight, which our good boy gratefully accepts. Finally, Sylvia is summoned, and I love what she wears so much. Stella, who has now become the queen of the Plateau Kingdom, is the first person to greet Sylvia, and Sylvia makes sure to formally greet her while Stella cries in gratitude to her dear friend. As soon as Sylvia enters the stage to accept her recognition, the entire crowd cheers for her, and Crown Prince Kenneth bestows her with a land and the title of Countess, turning her into Countess Sylvia Egerpen. After the highlight of the celebration, Sylvia runs into Kenneth in the garden, and they decide to talk. She is truly concerned about whether it is okay for him to give the De Luchende territory, which impresses him because she knows that the rural land is special in that it contains an unending supply of magical stones concealed underground. Kenneth's mother told him about this secret, and he reveals that his mom can communicate with spirits. Thus, when the black magic curse was at its peak, the spirits encouraged her to head out to De Luchende. However, this was not possible because those who wanted her dead had succeeded, but she was able to pass on the knowledge to him with the last ounce of her strength, making it an heirloom for him. Sylvia is taken aback by his story, and while she is grateful, she now has more reasons not to accept the award, causing Kenneth to be more honest and admit that he is the one who feels thankful. This good boy number 2 decides to finally confess, claiming that she has always made his heart race and has even put a stop to his black magic problem, which he thought he would have to fight until his death. He then names her his savior and kneels down, startling Sylvia. But he doesn't stop there. He also holds her hand and asks her to marry him. How to be Sylvia? Spirit King, Knight, Head Mage, though I don't want to include him, and now the Crown Prince? His confession makes her happy, but Sylvia already knows who she wants to spend the rest of her life with. Kenneth looks heartbroken and asks whether the person she's referring to is Thieve, which immediately turns her red. He realizes he's trying to squeeze himself into her already occupied heart, so he accepts defeat with a smile. He then stands up, extends his hand, and tells her that it doesn't change how precious she is to him, so he hopes they can still be friends, which makes her sorry but makes her honored to accept his hand. As soon as Sylvia leaves, Kenneth stops his act and collapses on the ground because he doesn't know what to do since he feels he can never love anybody other than her. She really has these powerful men falling head over heels for her. Sylvia notices Thieve from a distance, But she notices how uneasy he appears, and she overhears the nobles discussing how they witnessed the crown prince kneel before her. They are all ecstatic because they believe the crown prince is proposing to Sylvia, even calling them a match made in heaven. Thieve starts to feel insecure about himself when Sylvia yells his name and asks him to follow her. They have been walking for a little while, and noticing that Thieve hasn't said anything, Sylvia decides to start the conversation by mentioning that she was with the crown prince earlier. Even after that, he still doesn't say anything, saying that as her bodyguard, he doesn't feel it's his place to ask something so personal. Sweetheart, you've already shared a kiss, so there's no turning back now. This is really upsetting our girl, and she's starting to cry because she can't understand why he keeps pulling away, especially since he knows how she feels about him. Thieve gently reminds her that he is just a knight from humble beginnings, leaving Sylvia with no choice but to hug him. Sensing that this kind-hearted boy will never say it, she decides that she will. If there's one thing she has learned from walking through multiple timelines and saying goodbyes that break her heart, it is that no one can ever predict when they will die, so she intends to live the life she wants with the person she loves. She then pulls Thieve closer, letting him know that he can push her away if he's not comfortable, before leaning in to kiss him. Thieve looks really surprised, but he's no longer holding back, so he kisses her back. Yes, Queen, go get your man! Sylvia's mom is having a lovely day today, and it could be because Sylvia's wedding is just around the corner. One maid lets her know that Sylvia has been browsing wedding dresses, so Mommy thinks it would be nice to check in on her with Ailen. However, when she visits Eileen's room, she discovers her youngest daughter in tears, heartbroken over her big sister's upcoming wedding. Alright, so Mom thinks it's best not to have Ailen come along because she might cry even more. Instead, she considers having Daniel join her, but oh no, Big Bro looks extremely upset and is determined to make Thieve pay if he ever hurts Sylvia. Mom steps back and chooses to see how Cedric is doing, but it turns out this boy is also having a bit of a meltdown. They all congratulated Sylvia on her decision to marry and move to De Lucente, but it appears that they are not quite ready. Mommy wonders whether the reason she isn't as affected is because she's a parent, so she goes to check on her husband to see what he thinks. But the first thing she notices is an empty bottle of alcohol. She then glances across at her husband and, oh my goodness, Daddy is absolutely not ready to hand over his daughter yet. In the end, she chooses to go alone, and as soon as she sees Sylvia looking so ethereal in her wedding dress, tears start to flow, leaving Sylvia feeling very worried. Her mom then realizes that she shares the same feelings as everyone else and just keeps her emotions to herself. The truth is, she really doesn't want to send her little baby away so soon, but as a mom, all she wishes is for her daughter to be happy. So she joyfully congratulates her for her wedding, which brings a smile and tears to Sylvia's eyes. I'm really glad she has such wonderful mothers in both of her lives. Today is the most anticipated day, and our precious darling looks extra beautiful as she comes down the aisle, while Thieve looks handsome and happy waiting at the altar. All of their friends and Sylvia's family has come to witness this magical moment, with the exception of her two brothers, who are still furious about it. Thieve leans in and says how much he loves Sylvia, which encourages our girl to pull him in and initiate the kiss. Cuties! Life has been great, and they now have a mini version of Sylvia who is just as ferocious and powerful as her. The Demon King is still with them in his cat form, but Alyssa knows he isn't a cat since she can sense how he exudes so much mana. When Sylvia arrives looking for her daughter, the Demon Cat seizes the opportunity to run and tells his bestie Sylphide how adorable Alyssa is, and how he wants to pinch her plump cheeks. Anyway, the Demon King has noticed that Sylphide has moved on, as he used to burst into tears at random, making him chuckle. He will continue to suppress his feelings, and while he is angry that Elam almost revealed the truth to Sylvia, he's also grateful to the Mad Mage because it is thanks to him that Sylvia will be reincarnated forever. This means he'll be able to reunite with her forever, and who knows, perhaps Sylvia will fall for him in another lifetime. I truly believe my best boy will receive all the love he deserves. Perhaps in another century, but yes, someday. But for this story, it's Thieve's time with Sylvia, and just look at him rocking that long hair now. Sylvia is enjoying it as she watches her husband and daughter with all the love. No more guilt about taking someone else's life. She's owning her story. That person who faced struggles and came out stronger, Yeah, that's totally her. She is Sylvia. What a ride. Love who you want, but never force someone to love you back. That's just not how it works, and honestly, that's not real love. Love should be patient, gentle, and selfless, expecting nothing in return. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next story.